Hey, David AZ, how you doing? Hey, David AZ, how you doing? Well, colder than heck here and not so nice, but we're doing. Dustin, hey, how you doing? Paul Hodges should be joining us shortly. I talked to him on the phone a little bit, and he's been kind of busy. His sign business has really taken off, which is good. Um, the but it's the long drives all over the Hell's Half Acre that really gets him. So
Oh, library.
yep,
Oh,
yep. Yes, we are.
just had my supper.
Well, we haven't.
Same as last night.
You
You
got
made
lots,
some,
you got lots of leftovers from Diane, right?
got chicken and potato casserole. And just got finished the salad. Oh, Paul, by the way, I went and did those signs this morning, come back and looking around. Guess what I found? I found that
Fine.
like module was missing.
Oh, did you?
It was underneath something.
Good for you. And we get at this certain age, and it's like, okay.
It had to be here someplace.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, I guess you better bring up your chat.
Okay, I'm just sending out the invites now.
Holy mackerel, look at everybody's there already. AZ,
Yep,
Dustin, and Relentless. Oh, hey, Relentless. And Corey Mono. All right.
yep. They're all the gal, hail, the gang's all here. Just sending out the invites now.
Okay, how you doing? Yeah, cool.
The yeah, so it's they're gonna do construction tomorrow on a manhole cover that's out in the middle of Stone Street, right? Just north of my property.
Oh, yeah.
The big trucks have been hitting it and it's sinking and it's cracked the cement around the outside. So they're gonna work on it first thing in the morning. So.
Hey, Rob Well.
Hey, Rob, how you doing, buddy? Hot Rod's here.
Well,
The yeah, I've been trying to figure out why my smart controller defaults over once in a while, but it might be just because of the way I'm handling the smart controller. Over to FPV instead of follow me mode. So I'll have to watch it and see.
well, you said it might be one of the buttons on the bottom.
Yeah, I checked those buttons and all they are is tilt up, tilt down, and that kind of stuff. Recenter.
Yeah.
Rod says it's starting to rain there.
No, down in Daytona.
Yep. Yeah, we got rain almost on and off every day for a while, Paul, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, probabilities of 20-30% rain for the day.
Yeah. Just enough to make it miserable, right?
Yeah. Well, that also tells me we're not looking for any big sunshine,
Yeah.
Paul let me know that the Keewatin, which was a really old
Yeah, it's starting to move now.
passenger ship, is starting to move from way up in Canada. The tug is pulling it, and it's going to be, God, I would think 24 hours or longer. Maybe tomorrow morning it might get down here, but. Hey, Rod, how's it going?
It goes. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Let's see. You got the Mavic 3? Or just the
I have the Air 2S.
got it.
But if some of the other guys on here might have the Mavic 3.
Yeah, I was wondering with the Mavic 3 whether in that night mode you could shoot in D-Log.
Rob, do you have the Mavic 3?
Or
I do.
if in D-Log you can shoot HDR while you're in D-Log.
Rob might be able to answer. Rob, you have the Mavic 3, don't you?
I do.
Can you shoot in D-Log?
No,
I know you can shoot in D-Log. The question is, when you put it into the night mode, can you use a D-Log? Can you use the D-Log color profile?
Oh, I don't know.
Or when you're in D-Log, can you enable HDR?
Hey, there's
We don't
Dominic.
really use a lot of HDR.
Morning. Good
you know,
evening.
the ask could be Chuck of Action.
Yeah, Chuck would know.
Yeah, we use a lot of raw footage we do and then grade it ourselves.
Mhm.
So one of the tricks on my Evo 2 Pro that works pretty well when I'm shooting rockets at night, rocket launches at night, is that drone, when you're in log format, will actually let you enable HDR. So because you're in log format, that sort of softens the super bright light coming off the tail of the rocket. And the HDR sort of enhances all the shadow detail.
It
So
doesn't
you
blue
actually,
light, you mean?
yeah, so you wind up with the bright light isn't blown out quite as bad
Yeah,
with that kind of a setup. So I was wondering whether the Mavic 3, you could do the same thing where if you're shooting a D-Log, could you enable HDR? Or if you're in, that night mode, will it let you use the D-Log color profile?
yeah. I don't know. Chuck will be the one.
That could be the
Well,
one, or
what-
else, I think Dre has it too, doesn't he?
No, but Dre's, well, of course, we just hand over the footage, then we get told what to shoot in. So we don't actually do all the,
Mhm.
So you can see why I would be interested though, because
yeah,
that actually
definitely.
gives,
Oh, AZ is put a link in the chat.
Mm.
He put a link for you to look at.
okay, I see.
Hey, Dominic?
Hey, Rob. How are we?
Yeah. Done above ground.
Yeah,
Night
that's
footage and
a
HDR
good
video.
start.
Okay, this might, the title on this one seems kind of good.
Kinda
What I'm
answer your
looking for.
question, yeah. Here comes Justin, Mr. Stickley.
Good evening.
Justin?
Going on, Rob?
Oh, this is Vic. I like Vic. Vic video pick.
Yep.
Although some people thought he was a little nuts comparing the Nano to the Mavic 3 in night mode stuff. Okay. I saved that video. I'll come back to it. Okay, where the hell did Zoom go to on my damn desktop?
I hate that.
It disappeared. I click on it and the window doesn't pop up. Okay.
But sometimes you gotta start the play button, then hit the share. But
Yeah,
or
I'm not sure. I'm not
start
sure.
it, then you gotta click the start button.
Yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
Okay,
Let me try this again.
so Dominic, how are you doing this afternoon or this evening in your case?
No, it's morning.
Oh, it's morning over there, okay,
And that's what it is today.
okay. April the 25th,
It's Anzac Day.
and
Commemoration. Yep, the commemoration of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps in World War II, 1915, where they stormed the beaches of Gallipoli.
Okay,
It's a very solemn day here, where we remember all our servicemen from World War I and World War II.
yeah, AZ said that's gorgeous shots that he got.
Mm.
According to with that link,
I guess I'll watch the video.
Yeah.
Can't hear it because I got the sound off, but
Yeah.
so it sounds like you can do something similar to what I've been doing on my Evo 2 Pro.
Yeah,
I'm kind of debating about the Mavic 3 Pro. Obviously, I'm probably more of an Autel than a DJI guy because I hate the geo fences. I've run into a few places where it's just giving me hell with my Air 2.
Mhm.
And there are places in Florida, and there's a lot of places in Florida where that can be a pain in the ass.
geofence.
Yeah, there's one literally won't let me unlock at the Ponce Inlet lighthouse with my DJI Air 2. Literally will not. So I guess I would have to go do their whole log in online and go do it online, but it won't let me unlock off of the app in that location. And so it just kind of really pisses me off.
Mhm.
Oh, I had to do that if I wanted to fly on one half of at my old house.
Yeah.
I literally had one of those stupid bow ties running right through the center of my house. I could fly on one side, but the minute I walked on the other side
Oh
of the house,
yeah, it's
I
just
would have to get online to unlock it. It was stupid.
with the whole remote ID, they need to rip that freaking code out. End of story.
You think that Alltel's ever gonna turn that on though?
Well, Autel, no, not unless the government requires it. They have it in there. It's in the software. It will tell you that you're in a zone, and that's it, because it's not required. And the entire reason it's in the software is not in preparation for the US requiring it, is because there's some countries that require it. So they put it in the software to support those countries, and in all other countries, they just go, you're in one. And just let you know,
Yeah,
and leave you alone.
that's what I said before too, when we were talking about that. I was like, it'll tell you if you're not supposed to be somewhere, but it won't stop you. I said, but at any point, I guess if they decided to, they could flip that switch on.
If governments require it, then they will. But their answer is they don't want to,
Hey.
which is
Captain
different
Chuck,
than
how you doing?
DJI's answer.
Anybody see what happened over at Fox News?
What happened?
Tucker Carlson's out.
Tucker is out, huh?
I saw a whole bunch of videos popping up on YouTube about that.
Yeah. Well, I told Don Lemon he got fired today too on CNN.
You know what I think? I think they should just ban all of those news stations, all of them.
Yeah, they don't have anything good to say.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, AT&T was actually threatening to sell CNN like, what was it, 2 years ago, because they cost them over $1 billion in lawsuits,
Yeah, no doubt.
and AT&T was getting frustrated with it.
You
Apparently
know,
they own it.
you know what I tell people? First, try to take this in a non-political, non-hateful way. But Hitler PR guys would have killed for the crap that our news agencies and the bullshit that our news puts out.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Mm.
The freaking is worse out of our news than the brainwashing that Hitler's machine did during World War II, by far. They reach more people with more bullshit. He would have killed for it.
That's a problem everywhere, not just the US too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
They've
I know.
done that, and all the like ally European countries all have that problem.
But you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be,
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like he would have killed for that type of PR.
yeah,
control.
100%. Our crap and the PR crap that is put out on the news is worse than
Yeah.
what Hitler did in World War II. Worse.
People are more believable these days too.
Yep.
They
That's
believe
the
everything they see.
stupid part about it. I mean, and you know, they talk about this. Take this with a big gigantic grain of salt too. This is not trying to be mean or bad in any way, but you know, look at all the sort of human testing that Hitler did, and then compare that to today to sort of gene manipulation that we're trying to get into. And tell me which one of those two is worse.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he would have killed.
It
for
is.
this.
It is for all the knocking on what he was he was doing this and that and da. We're probably doing worse today than what they did with some of the experimentation that we're doing at a cellular level to human beings.
Oh yeah, he would have killed for the social media.
Mhm.
The way
Yeah.
social media is good at manipulating populations.
And I'm not trying in any way say that he was anything other than a bad guy, because he was everything. He was a bad guy extreme.
Yeah,
But I'm just trying to say that some of the shit that's going on today is worse than what he did.
Yeah.
And people are putting up with it. That's what's weird. It's like, when are people gonna wake up to some of this crap?
I think everybody's just gotten, I think I've said this before too. I think a lot of reason why the masses don't really do anything these days is because they're so comfortable with the luxury of what they have these days
Oh, yeah.
that
No
they
doubt.
don't want to fuck it up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not
I mean-
saying like a civil war type thing couldn't happen in the US, but I think most people are just so comfortable they don't want to mess with the balance of what they have. And so it's more of just, we'll just talk back and forth and yell at each other type thing.
I want to know when we're gonna find the middle.
So you
Yep.
can do that.
I think I think all of it,
When is the middle get tired of both ends?
well,
I think that's a
US.
very valid point.
well, I think some of this stuff in society is just a fad, right? Because societies do go through fads.
Yep.
And I think eventually some of this shit will just, people will get tired of it, start ignoring it more, and then eventually it'll just start fading away to a certain extent. Not to say it won't always still be there, but
But, you know, the reality is what's trying to drive people to the ends, right? Either the
Yep.
far left or the far right, is our fucking news crap. Either side. They're
Yep.
all they're all guilty of brainwashing. They're trying to.
I never talk about politics or anything like that because I don't know anything. But there's a thing going on now over here in Oxford. In a certain area, you're not allowed to leave your area more than 100 times in a year, where they're trying to stop pollution.
No,
Oh my
so they're
God.
trying to control what you can do as far as travel.
Yeah, they've given you a radius of, I don't know, for argument's sake, like 25 miles or 20 miles, I don't know, from your house. And you're not allowed to go past that more than 100 times in a year.
Now you want to hear a scientific thing that sort of
That's
makes
weird.
some of this crap completely pointless?
Mhm.
But I don't understand none of it. I don't.
You know how much CO2 one volcano puts up, one major volcano explosion. You
Yep.
know how much CO2 it puts into the atmosphere when it goes up?
Yep,
About
But not
50 years worth of human CO2 creation.
yep.
One volcano. 50 years of human.
And so we just gotta stop volcanoes.
Yeah, stop the volcanoes. Quit worried about the
Yep.
other crap. We'll be fine.
Yep.
But it's interesting how some of the things that go on in nature are impacting,
Exactly.
and even the warming,
Mother Nature. You can't mess with it.
and even the warming. Hello, the biggest thing in our solar system is what's really controlling our warming almost more than anything on the planet. It's actually the amount of solar rays coming from external that determines our heating in the atmosphere more than
Yep.
almost anything.
Yep,
Not saying that all those other things to clean things up is bad and should be ignored, but quit trying to throw this whole story out.
Mother
The world's
Nature.
gonna end tomorrow if we don't do it today.
yeah,
Well, the biggest, I
You
mean,
know, the
two of the-
panic, that's what people don't
yes.
freaking want to hear. I don't want to
Well-
hear that. Let's be reasonable.
Well,
Let's
let's
set
be
reasonable
reasonable about
expectations.
saving the planet. Yes,
Well, and let's face it, two of the countries that are the worst polluters by far that need to clean their act up more than anybody is China and India.
yeah,
100%.
exactly.
They're the two
We
worst.
cut
Go
and they
over there,
they
go over
increase.
there and protest and see what you get.
I mean, India's pretty much screwed up that entire, what is it that, we talked about it before, the river that runs through there.
It's
Ganges.
all-
Completely
Yangtze,
dest-
the
yeah,
Yangtze.
They
Yeah.
completely
Ganges, the
destroyed that.
Ganges goes through
Mm.
India and the
Yeah.
Yangtze goes through China.
Yeah, the Ganges River. Yeah, they've completely freaking destroyed that river. It's
Mm.
so polluted and nasty.
So the one thing that we can do that will make a massive difference to all of this. And they're starting to get better at it. They're getting closer. Maybe in the next 30 years, we'll actually have it. And that is fusion nuclear reactors.
Yeah, I've
Nuclear
been saying that
fusion.
for 20 years. Nuclear fusion.
Free,
on a small-
essentially free power. We'll
Yeah.
have so much power, we won't need
We just
coal or
basically
anything
need,
else.
yeah, we need a really small sun.
But
If we
they're
could
getting,
harness-
they're getting really damn close. They've had in the last year, they've
We've
had
had a couple of
two
minutes
or
of
two or
one.
three successful reactions. So
Yeah,
they know
Where
they're
they've
getting
lasted for a
close.
couple of minutes.
Yeah,
So we're
They-
getting there.
they're getting there for sure.
And it's the cleanest energy you'll find.
Ever.
Yep.
Look in the sky, that big yellow thing. It's a
Yep.
fusion nuclear reactor. That's what it
All
is.
we have to do is get a really small one of those.
Here
Yep.
comes
And we're-
Mr. Chuck.
Uh-oh. Mr. Chuck.
But
Oh,
once
no.
we,
It's Chuck.
but once
No
we,
politics, but he'd be the best person to talk about.
but
Night
but
flying.
once you get
We had to
nuclear
quit talking
fusion,
about him. He's here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you can talk to him about night flying.
oh, hey Chuck.
Well, he's not on yet. He's still
Wait,
connecting.
the audio's not connecting yet.
Oh, got it. So anyways, once we get nuclear fusion, that's gonna completely change the equation, right?
Oh, definitely.
We can have as many electrical cars as we want because we'll have as much freaking power clean power as we want.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean don't use wind, don't use solar. You can still have those and use them as supplementary to all of that. But it completely change
It's the game changer.
the world.
Yeah,
It's the game changer to climate control. So if you want to fix climate change, then freaking invest more in nuclear fusion.
nuclear power.
research.
Yep. None of this renewables crap.
The renewables is
The only
fine. I'm not saying-
renewable is nuclear power. Nuclear fusion is the only renewable.
Yeah, but the problem with like solar panels and stuff is you still have to have big battery banks. And
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
problem
no,
with the
agreed.
wind turbines is there's no recycling of the wind turbines.
exactly.
The materials they use, you can't recycle. Plus, you still have to use petroleum for them because you have to grease bearings, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So
So-
anyways, the biggest impact, if you want to have an impact that will change the world, is nuclear fusion.
Nuclear fusion.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
Because
look,
it's
look,
safe.
Been
look how
saying that for
literally
20
safe.
years.
yeah, but look how small those reactors are on the aircraft carriers and those.
Oh,
one
I
air-
agreed.
The
No.
amount of power that one of those has could run a whole city.
So
Yep.
you know the
Small, medium nuclear reactors.
yeah, the SMRs.
Yep.
Those have just been approved here in the US. And that's been the key to fission is just build smaller so that they're less risky
Yeah,
if something goes wrong with
Well,
them.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. If they can build mini ones in an aircraft carrier that can
Oh,
run
I
a whole
agree
city, there's
100%.
no reason for a huge ass nuclear plant no more.
exactly.
Yeah, there's not the SMRs, but fusion power
power.
power is 100% the game changer that will
Yep.
change the
Just nuke
planet.
the
It is
whole planet and be
100%
done with it.
renewable.
Just nuke the whole planet and be done with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're probably gonna do that ourselves already. Anyways,
Let's all move to
Justin.
Mars instead.
Oh, no, not Justin. Was
Rob,
Chuck.
You what, bud?
he lost his connection.
Oh, Chuck. lost his connection. I
Yeah,
can't
with
ask a
Chuck.
question.
Yeah, you can't ask Chuck a
He's
question.
usually in his car in his office and neither one he gets. good
Yeah,
connection.
he's probably on his phone.
Well, he
In the
was in
car.
his truck and.
Yeah. He usually has issues with that.
So we need to quit fighting and start investing more in nuclear fusion.
Yep.
And you want to set the world on fire and go, we need to do this tomorrow. That's the one thing we need to get done by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is solving nuclear fusion, and all of this all goes
Yep.
away.
Let's all go
I
to Mars.
totally
and leave the
agree.
Chinese and the Indians beyond.
Go ahead, Rob. What'd you say?
Let's all go to Mars and leave the Chinese and Indians behind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But I mean, it's effectively free power for the entire world is what we're talking
Exactly.
about with nuke fusion. Free power.
yeah. I've been saying that for years. I totally agree with you.
And then we can
Right.
build all the electric cars we want to build. We'll have,
And then,
we'll
yeah,
have
that
more,
means
we'll have plenty of, we'll have plenty of power to power them.
Yeah, and the infrastructure
And
that
the
can actually
infrastructure.
support it.
Yeah.
Well, that was Germany's biggest mistake was they got rid of all their nuclear power, went
Yep.
to natural gas and started relying on Russia.
Yeah,
Now what
they're
are
gonna
they,
fire
now
them
what are
up
they
again.
using? And now what are they using? Coal. They had to turn their coal plants back on,
Like
Yeah.
I got a lot of natural gas.
Don't we all?
so. Yeah,
You
just
what?
eat some beans.
Well, Russia's
Yep.
actually the largest, they have the largest deposit of natural gas, but the US has quite a big one too.
Mm,
You know how much shale oil is in the Rocky Mountains?
yep,
Well, that's what, we were
Stored up,
talking about.
there's more oil there than there is in all of Saudi Arabia, and they know this.
We were talking about that not too long ago, that there for, 3-4 years ago, there for a little bit, we were actually out producing the Middle East in oil until they decided to shut down the pipelines and
Yeah,
put all this extra regulations on oil fracking and all that other stuff they were doing.
yep, yep.
And then we went from being number
We got the
one
same problem
back
down
down
here.
again.
but I'm
Got
telling
a
you,
huge oil- We've got huge shale oil production in Bass Strait, but we're not allowed to use it.
we need somebody like JFK, God love him. To come in and go, we're going to the moon. To come
Yeah.
in and go, we're gonna
We
solve
choose to go to
nuclear
the moon.
fusion. We're gonna solve
Yeah.
nuclear fusion this decade and
Yeah.
freaking throw every
Not
damn
we
bloody
we
resource
choose
that
to
we
go to the
can
moon, not
find
because
at
it's
it.
easy, but because it's hard.
Yes. And
Believe me, I know
make it,
that speech. Even for an Australian, I know that speech pretty well.
but we need somebody in the world, probably the US, to come in and go, we're going to solve nuclear fusion, which will
And we're going to
solve
solve it
all
by the
these
end of the
other
decade.
challenges that we're trying to take
Yep.
care of now.
Right behind you there. Totally.
So I'm
Something that we need to solve.
not a don't clean the world up kind of guy. I'm just like,
No.
let's be smart about, let's
We
be
have to
smart
be
about
smart
it.
and reasonable about
Yes,
solving it, not going from one extreme to
to the
other.
other.
That's what we said earlier. We're trying to find that middle.
Yeah, exactly. There's gotta
We
be a
need to
middle
find the
ground in
middle.
there without stabbing the other guy in the back.
Exactly. It's all about the middle.
But they use extreme arguments and
Mm.
extreme examples. And here's the other kicker, Dominic. They talking about, oh, the ocean levels are gonna go up. We know
Yep.
for a fact, there has been times in this planet's history where we had no ice on either pole.
Yep.
We know it for a fact. It's happened long before humans had anything to do with the environment. So how did that
Yep.
happen then? Had nothing to do with us. So the odds that
We had an ice age.
yeah, we had an ice age. It had nothing to do with humans. So the planet has gone from extremes without us having anything
Without-
to do
Yeah,
with it.
without any of our interventions.
So this story of, well, if we do this, we guarantee that this, yeah, right. I don't think so. Our history proves
Yeah.
that's not the case.
We are at the beck and call of that big red ball or big orange ball that's 93 million miles away.
And all that molten lava that sits under our feet.
Yep.
Actually,
What
I read,
happens to that is what happens to us.
you
We
wanna
have
hear
no
something?
control over that thing.
Yeah, you want to hear something interesting that I read recently? They made a discovery in the core of the planet.
Yep.
That there is more
Laura.
water locked up in the rocks in the core of the planet than there is water in the ocean.
Mm.
I don't know how they figured that out, but there's this porous, spongy kind of layer. And apparently it
Laura-
contains more water than there is water in the ocean.
Laura's attacking to you, Robert. Rob.
Oh,
I
there's
don't know.
shit there.
He
Yeah.
says, who let
Who let the ginger on the
panel?"
panel?
I don't know if I'd want to start sucking water out of one of the layers though.
Yeah, you don't know what might.
No,
be there.
I'm just saying it's one of those interesting things that our environment and planet is far more complex than we really know.
We know, yes.
Well, you know what's really stupid is like they could fix the drought issue in Southern California and Nevada if they just built some desalination plants and started pumping water into all these rivers and lakes that are running so low.
You know, I actually have another
We've got
interesting.
one of those here.
I actually have another interesting solution to that. And it would solve a problem in the Midwest. I lived up in Fargo, North Dakota for about 10 years.
Mhm.
And one of the things up there is the Red River tends to flood every freaking year because it's one of the few
Yep.
rivers in the US that actually flows into the Hudson Bay. So when it gets warm, it melts in the south and it's still frozen in the north and the water backs up. And the Missouri River coming out of Bismarck tends to flood almost every year as well. So a lot of years, not every year. But you know, it's like, okay, so we have a flooding problem up in that part of, I mean, look, Iowa, how many times Iowa with the Missouri is almost, or in the Mississippi has gotten buried a few times.
Yeah.
So why not just freaking put pipelines in? I mean, we put pipelines in for oil. Why not put pipelines in? It just pump that freaking water over into the Colorado
All right,
system.
yep,
It
yep,
just freaking pump it and pump the flood waters as necessary. You don't even need to do desalination. It's like, okay, we can move large chunks of fluid around. Why not just move water around?
Exactly. Well, we're an island. We're surrounded by water. So how can we have a drought? It's a very interesting thought.
Well, that's where you need the desalination plants.
We have a desalination plant near me, actually.
And if you have a nuclear fusion plant next to it, you can desalinate as much as you want because you'll have all the power you
Exactly.
need. You have all the power you need to do it with.
Exactly.
That's the
very
expensive
simple.
part of desalination is the amount of
Yeah.
energy it takes to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem we have. Not enough energy.
So that's why my solution is just pump the water from the areas that tend to be flood prone into the Colorado River, as an example here in the US, where we need more water. Great.
Mhm.
Sort of kill two birds, one stone kind of thing.
Well, the thing of it is that if we didn't have salt water, you wouldn't have anything living in the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to find that balance.
Yep.
It all comes back to balance.
Mm.
Everything needs to be balanced. Oh, it's going off in the chat again.
I'm not trying to make anybody mad, but it's just
No,
like
no,
there's
no,
a nice middle ground that and
we
that we can
have to
get
find
to.
that
It's
middle.
some goals that we can hit.
No, they're not talking about what you're talking about, Rob.
Okay.
No, this is something-
crap to each other.
Yeah. It's a completely different discussion going on in the chat to what we're having.
Got it.
The
Laura
usual
and
thing.
Rob are picking on each other.
I'm
Yeah.
just waiting to bolt the blocker.
Anyways, Dominic, it's been really interesting the last 6 months, the amount of successful fusion tests that have gone
Yes,
down.
it's one thing that I have kept an eye on. It's been something that I've been talking about and been researching over many, many years because of, I'm going to say science is a bit of a hobby too, has been all my life.
So if the world wants to solve that problem, we need to throw every freaking resource across every country and every
Yeah.
scientist at solving the nuclear fusion problem and just
But
make
there
it
seems to
happen.
be a real, and I'm talking from an Australian point of view and even locally. The word nuclear has a real stigmatic problem here.
It
And
has
it's
a
very
negative, it
problematic.
has a negative connotation.
Yeah, every time you bring up the word nuclear, all people think about is Chernobyl.
As bombs, yep.
Yeah,
Well, no,
They
they think
can't-
of 3 Mile Island and
3 Mile
Chernobyl.
Island, Chernobyl,
Yeah,
depending on, 3 Mile Island for American
3 Mile
people
Island for the
is
US was
in
the
there,
one that stopped.
is in their psyche. Whereas Chernobyl is more of an international stigma. But people have a hysteria. Yeah,
Dude, I hope I'm alive for the day that another,
Well, the
Another,
problem is all of the climate people
Yeah.
are closing down all of the nuclear power plants.
yeah, I know.
Now,
Wait,
what,
But
what,
the
what
stigma attached to
Yeah, what-
when you discuss nuclear, the stigma attached to it. People just, oh no, it's nuclear. It's
because
gonna melt
nuclear
down.
power plants are the cleanest energy there is right now.
Yeah, nuclear fusion, the only byproduct of that is 2 parts of hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen. That is the only thing it gives off. Dihydrogen monoxide, otherwise known as water.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you want to prank people, you just say, "Oh, let's go out and ban dihydrogen monoxide." I've done that. I've done that many a time where I've just pranked people.
No
said, yes, we
using
need to-
scientific terms, Dominic. You might
Yeah.
confuse them.
Yeah,
Those poor
I've
people
done that
you're picking on.
occasionally, and people
You're
say,
picking
"Yeah,
on the
yeah, let's ban it
uneducated
because
people,
it's
damn it. Now quit it.
because they see the word monoxide, and they don't realize that the dihydrogen behind it changes it. Because if you say monoxide, people think, oh, carbon monoxide or any monoxide is noxious. When you put dihydrogen behind it and you say, oh, yeah, it's a, what was the term? It's a noxious chemical. It's a really nasty chemical. And you get people riled up about it and say, yeah, let's ban it. And then, I was doing this in a pub with a couple of mates of mine that didn't catch on
God.
to it. And then I went there and then I just asked for a glass of water and I put it in front of them and said, that's dihydrogen monoxide. You've drunk it before. And they laughed so hard because I just really pranked them because
So
they
here's-
didn't know what dihydrogen monoxide was.
Yeah, so
And when
here's
you
the-
prank people, it was hilarious to prank people.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So Paul, so here's some info on nuclear. You want to guess what the half-life of the radiation is for fusion? We know what it is for fission, right? The current nuclear power plants. It's like, 10,000 years, 20,000 years, whatever is the half-life of the radiation. You want to know what it is for fusion? It's not that fusion doesn't create radiation, but its half-life is like nanoseconds. And it's gone. It's
Yep.
utterly the safest thing on the planet.
As I said, we keep coming back to this, and I've been saying it for years. This is
not-
what we need to invest in.
So not all nuclear is bad.
Yeah, but people get it in their head, the same as dihydrogen monoxide. People get it in their head when they hear one word, they don't want to know what the exact information behind it is. They just think nuclear and that mental picture of 3 Mile Island, the 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and that.
I just want to answer Wayne's question. If there's one thing I could see before I died, I'd love to meet an alien race. I don't care if they
Oh,
killed me or
definitely.
not. I just want to be able to see it before I die.
Definitely.
Even if it's just a spaceship for 10 minutes and then blows the world up.
The good news is COVID will kill them.
Yeah. If it's anything to go by, War of the
Care if
Worlds.
it- I don't
by
care if it
H.G. Wells.
I don't care if it went the way of Independence Day. I just want to see it.
Well, yeah. As I said, there's always that thing of when aliens do come down, is it going to be like War of the Worlds where they come in and just hit
Oh,
everything.
there's so many different theories that they've come up with of how an alien race would act if they're that advanced.
Or do they come down like Star Trek where they're just watching us?
Because Stephen Hawking's uses human history as his prediction of what would happen. He said
Yeah.
what happens whenever a more advanced race comes in contact with a less advanced, and in human
Mm.
history, it's never turned out good. You know
Or
what I'm
is
saying?
it, you know,
But
watching
you
the,
don't know if they're going to have the same values, the same type of thoughts.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Now,
it's just hard to say.
what I was thinking of, and this is more Star Trek based. I was watching the SpaceX launch the other night, and it reminds me of one of the Star Trek movies. I think it was Star Trek First Contact, where the Vulcans are just waiting there, and it comes to a point where we've mastered interplanetary exploration. Now, once we get that ship, you'll see a big alien spaceship come out and say, "Thank you, you've basically attained the right level of intellect, technology, yeah." And they'll just come down and say, "Okay, we're going to help you get to the rest of the stars." So
So
it's
here-
either that, where they come down and say, "Okay, we're going to help you," or it's going to be like Independence Day, where they're going to say, "Hey, you're a savage, childlike race. We need to help you
Well, the
work
whole
this
theory
out."
behind
Like
the whole-
the day the Earth stood still, that movie.
But the whole point of Independence Day was they didn't give a shit about what race lived on the planet.
They wanted
Exactly.
our core.
They
Yeah,
just wanted the resources. That was it.
yeah, exactly. Do they want our resources, or do they want to help us? That's the
I think if an alien race has the ability to travel that far between those vast distances, I don't think that resources is going to be an issue for them.
exactly.
To be
They
honest.
So-
want to,
so-
for want of a
here's a
better word, they
question.
want to include us in the Galactic Council.
So here's a question for you, Dominic. I think about this one from time to time. So what do you think the odds that the human race wind up like Wall-E or Mad Max?
Yeah, there's another.
That's another one of those, will we succeed?
That's another thought experiment.
Or
or
will
it can
we
end up
destroy,
like-
will
it
we
can end
be
up like the Star
successful,
Trek
or will we
universe.
destroy ourselves?
Yeah. Or do the aliens come down and prevent us from destroying ourselves?
But the crazy thing is we can destroy something 10 times faster than building it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, an entire country can get ripped apart in a war and leveled. I mean, look at how bad Ukraine's got beat up.
Mm,
You know, that country was destroyed 100 times faster than it was ever built up.
exactly.
So I wouldn't put the Mad Max thing on the back of the table.
Wayne B makes a very good point. Interplanetary travel. You're talking about a society that can't even use a signal light on a car. That is a very valid point.
But like I've said before too, if you really look at society as a whole, most of us are just riding the coattails of a few smart people that are making certain
That's-
things in society.
Yeah, but
Like the
that's
guys that are making the phones, the guys that are actually working at SpaceX, that are doing
Yeah,
that know
that has
understand that
been-
technology. But your everyday person, I mean, besides maybe contributing to the economy, they're not really contributing to the advancement.
yeah,
of the
that's
human race
been
in a
like
whole.
that for 400 or 500 years.
Well, Justin, you've been talking about running Elon Musk for president, haven't you?
No, I like Elon Musk though. I think he's an interesting guy for sure.
Yeah. I do agree with that. Yeah. Especially what he's done with Twitter. Clean that place out well.
I
You know,
don't
there
think-
was one thing that I really liked about Trump. Not that I like Trump as a person, but just as a
His
who should
political
be.
ideology, you're saying.
My thought process, because when I first turned 18 was when Ross Perot was running. And back
Mhm.
then I had the exact same thought. You know, you have these politicians sort of running for president kind of thing. And it's like, how come we can't have a business guy? Isn't the US government one of the biggest businesses on the planet? Why can't we have a business oriented guy run
Exactly.
it
Someone
as
that's
a
not tainted with
business
politics. I'd certainly agree with that.
without the political side
Hey,
of
little Lama
either
Laura,
side?
little
being
Lama
in
Laura's
the-
leaving us. All right. Good night, Laura.
Good night, Laura.
So I'm not trying to, I'm
Later,
not trying to pick kind of one side or the other, but it's like,
Yeah.
why can't we have a business guy make business oriented
Oh,
kind of
I
decisions to
I
drive
totally agree with that.
the process?
Because
Yeah.
one person, and I'm not going to say tainted because it's not the correct term, but each person has their own political leanings. And
Yeah.
I'm only talking about this from an Australian point of view, because in Australia, we only really have two political parties. So you've either got to lean one way or you've got to lean the other.
We only really have two here. I mean, independents are pretty much Democrats for the most part.
Yeah,
They
we've
call
got,
themselves independents, but they
yeah,
always seem to
we've
vote.
got what are independents, and independents are just our Democrats are what our Labor Party are what you would call Democrats,
Yeah.
But the chances of
and
you
our
ever
Liberal Party, which is funny because it's got the word liberal in it, but our Liberal Party is more the Republicans. If you just to define the, I'm not talking politics, but I'm defining the political ideologies of both parties in Australia. Then we've
But
got
Well, that's kind of in conflict. You know, you say a liberal is
Yeah.
yeah, but it's
a
like
conservative. How does that
I
work?
know.
yeah, but
We've
it's
got
like
a liberal conservative, yes. And
Yeah,
that's
but-
confusing when I listen to American politics. A liberal over there is what we would call a Labor or a lefty over here. So
Yeah.
it's a political ideology
But
that is
Dominic,
different in terminologies.
to give you a really good example of something that Trump did that as a military guy who spent 20 years in the military with his ass on the potentially being on the line, is when Turkey went into Syria and they crossed that border to go after the
Yep.
Kurds. Trump freaking called Erdogan and told him,
Yep.
you need to stop or I'm going to put sanctions on your ass. In other
Yeah.
words, he was going to use our economic power instead of our military power. He used our economic power
Yeah,
to prevent a military crisis.
yeah.
that's what you call soft power.
And it's one of the first presidents that I've ever seen freaking do that. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the military to stop you. I'm going to use our economic power to stop
And that's the
you.
way it should be. You should
That's
use
because,
economic
that's because the
sanctions.
businessman uses all the tools in the toolbox.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Which is why I want a business guy for the president, not a freaking political guy for a president.
Honestly,
Exactly.
I would
Someone
be,
that hasn't been in the political system
honestly, I
and is
would be
painted with the
curious.
political ideologies of something.
Not to say I would kind of be curious to see how what's his name would run it though. Elon.
Elon
That
Musk,
would be
Mark
interesting.
Mark Cuban.
I don't like Mark Cuban though. He's very
I don't like
pro-Chinese.
Mark's personality, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's-
he
he's
leans
very-
a little bit.
He's very pro-Chinese though.
Yeah.
Right, night, everyone.
Later, Rob.
Bye.
Okay, Rob, thanks
Hey,
for
Rob.
coming in, buddy.
Thanks for stopping by.
I'll try and catch you tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good, buddy. Take care. Yeah, we got to remember that back there in jolly old England, it's 10:41 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, you get where I'm coming from, right? It's not. really-
I
it's not. It's
completely
not
understand
a.
that.
It's not a
Someone
live and
that
die
hasn't
for
been-
Trump. It's a live and die for a business guy.
Yeah. And someone that
him,
hasn't been an
per se.
apparatchik for the.
Well, I think that the majority of the people like Trump, a lot of things, but it's that 10 or 15% of just tone it down a little bit. Just
Yeah, he
do
needs to
what you're
learn to
doing,
outrun
just
his
tone
mouth
it
some
down a
more.
little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, I
outrun
kind of
his
like
mouth.
that about him because it felt like he was talking to me as a regular person and not a robot politician.
Yeah.
There is
That's the
something to be
one
said
thing-
to that.
That's the one thing I liked about it. It was like somebody getting up on the podium, leaning up on their arm and saying, "Hey guys." How you doing today? You know,
But you
not
talk
Yeah.
like he talks to Kim Jong Un, right? When you're trying to make a point and
Yeah.
and tone it down for the normal crap at home kind of thing.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
you've got to speak to Kim Jong Un and say, get your shit together.
I mean, he kind of did because he basically said our nuclear submarines are really powerful, right? I mean, that was a pretty
Yeah.
strong message when he said that.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, North Korea, there's no way that they're that stupid and think they're really gonna do anything.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
I think
Try it.
he has to have some kind of brain in his head and realize that he wouldn't stand a chance. I mean,
Yeah, well, you also have
there,
the counter argument that is what makes you think he thinks he stands a chance right now?
I think it's all just for show. But I
Maybe.
think if anybody in his military has any brains at all, they would know that they would get completely rolled over. I mean, come on, they're flying jets from the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah,
Like, or not the 50s, but like the 60s era from like Vietnam. Like, come on now. You're not even going to take on an F-15 or F-18, let alone a fifth generation fighter. I
You
mean,
would
Yeah.
have never thought that Russia would have been threatening nukes for the same reason, but they just did
well, see, that's what I've said
multiple
for,
times.
well, see, that's why I've said for the longest time is I don't really think we would have a problem if you were to take nukes off the table. I don't think Russia or China would hold a candle to the U.S. military if you just went one-on-one with them. But I think that because nobody's gonna take the nukes off the table, they would get their asses handed to them, get backed in the corner, and they'd feel like they had no choice but to use them.
You want to hear the real danger for North Korea? You know how many nukes it can take to take out the US?
Probably just a few. I mean, because of the fallout and all that.
Nah. No, it's even worse than you think. This is why the North Koreans are even more fucking dangerous than most people realize. We know this, the Russians know this, the Chinese probably know this too. It only takes about 6. You airburst them. The EMP, the EMP
Yeah,
would
yeah.
fry everything. It only takes about 6 nukes airburst
EMP,
over
yeah.
and it spread out over the US. The EMP would fry every piece
Well,
of
and you don't even
electronics.
have
Can
to
you
do it.
imagine? Can you imagine what would happen?
And you don't even need a nuclear bomb to do that. There's EMP weapons that are just
Yeah,
the
that was the
EMP.
whole
Yeah.
neutron thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is partly why Kim Jong-un is so damn dangerous. He don't need many nukes and they don't need to be accurate because you're not going to try to come within a mile of some military installation. You're going to blow the
But
thing
at the
up.
same time, we don't know what's in the black budget either. We
Right.
don't know what's the black projects. We don't know what's out there.
But a hand, 2 or 3 nukes getting through, right? An air burst, 30, 40 miles up, EMP burst, take out the entire West Coast, everything, every piece of electronics on the West Coast.
Well,
Imagine the amount
Ron.
of damage that would do.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah.
say that the US's military budget's like 600,
Hey,
700
Ron.
billion a year. But what they don't tell you, if you actually read the congressional reports every year, there's about 300 or 400 billion that aren't labeled what it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
the
Black
black
project.
budget. Yeah, the
They're
black.
black
Yeah, that's why I said the
projects.
black budget. You don't know what's going
So
on.
they're
at Stonewall.
spending
You don't know
well
what's
over $1
going on at
trillion a
Area
year.
51. You don't know
Well-
what's going on at NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain,
Because
because-
you
you know,
can,
Edwards Air Force Base. You
Right,
don't know
but
what's
because
going
of
on
the
there.
because of the EMP threat, it doesn't. Places like North Korea become a serious fucking threat and problem for us. It only takes 2 or 3 of them getting through to like
Yeah,
massive. Look at all the electronics we have. Think of
Yeah.
every piece of electronics not working,
yeah,
including cars.
yeah,
How the hell would we get food anywhere?
Well,
exactly.
you know,
transportation system.
another thing that really needs to be addressed is our political system, whereby people elected to office federally, there is no time limit. I mean, you got
Yep.
Dianne Feinstein has been out of the office for like 2 years, and she's going to rerun again, and she's going to get elected, and she's like 91 or 92 years old.
Yeah, same,
Yeah,
same
you
goes
flip the other side, Strom Thurmond from
I think-
South Carolina.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think,
North
well, not,
Carolina.
yeah, but I think that there should be a limit, like
an age limit.
so many
yes.
terms, or whatever.
Well, the
Yeah.
problem is.
And
is-
there should be an age limit. You can't after,
Well, the problem is with congressional limits on,
On the
on
toll,
term
Paul.
limits is they have to
Yeah,
approve it
nice.
themselves.
Yeah, she's on the toll, guys.
yep.
Nice.
Yeah, the problem with I'm all for the term limits, but there's a problem.
They
I
have to
heard somebody
approve it.
talk. No.
Congress would
permit-
have to
The
approve it.
swamp, the
Yep.
permanent established politicians that all the staff people become the permanent and they end up with more
Oh,
power than.
you're talking about
And
like,
they also have the golden handshake.
Yeah,
They
you're
get
Well,
talking
like
about-
in
political
Michigan,
pensions
in
and
Michigan,
pay-
we have term limits, right?
Yeah.
So the original plan is that all of our politicians, even federal, had to go by the term limits. And they went, everybody ran to the Supreme Court, says, oh, no, that's not fair. Because other states aren't doing that.
yeah, but
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying. In order to set term limits on like senators, congressmen, all that, you would literally they would have to be approved by Congress. They're never gonna approve that for themselves. That would be like saying, that's like, why do you think these CEOs and stuff get bigger bonuses every year? Because them and the board approve it. The
Mm.
guys
Yeah.
at the top approve their own damn bonuses.
Well, one thing
So-
that could work is if you grandfathered everybody that's elected to office at a certain date.
Yeah.
And then from that date forward, then you go by the new rules.
But the permanent establishment then controls and not the politicians control at that point, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like the guys at the NSA, the CIA, the guys. at
No, the staffers that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When if some Democrat retires and another Democrat gets elected in that same, he winds up with the old guys staff, that permanent staff guys. They just float
Yeah.
around from politician to politician and they've been there longer than the politicians have been there.
Well, I mean, we have.
And they're
that
the
same-
ones that pull the strings.
But what you're
Yep.
saying too is also an issue in the federal agencies too.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
The real guys running the country are top of the NSA, CIA.
Mhm.
Those are the guys, because they'll go through 10 presidents in their career or
Yeah.
5
Mm.
presidents,
I mean, look
Yeah.
at look at one of the most famous buildings in Washington DC, i.e. the J.
Pentagon.
Edgar Hoover building, and how many freaking presidents did he yank the chain around on?
Hmm.
That's a case of one guy with way too much power for way too long, and it went to his head. But that's kind of what you're talking about there, Justin.
Yeah, exactly.
Those
Mm.
guys need to have some sort of limits as well.
Yeah.
But then the problem becomes, if you take that layer out, then are you basically turning all the political power over to sort of the business political groups that are out there?
And then it's like, how do we reappoint people that are almost in classified and secret positions in these agencies? We can't have a national vote on it with like an election. Because then you
So-
would know who the hell they are, right? And a lot
Yeah,
of these
so-
guys are nameless. You don't really know who they are.
You're on mute, Ron. I see you talking, but I don't hear you. So
There you go.
anybody know what George Washington said about political parties?
Not offhand, no.
George Washington said the end of the United States would be political parties. That political parties would be what would tear this country apart. And his time was the Whigs and the Tories. So even he knew the threat of sort of politics in society. He flat out said it. Go look it up.
Hey, what happened to Tucker Carlson got fired from Fox. I'm sure it had something to do with the left
Don Lemon did
Nah.
too. He got fired from CNN.
or
Both of 'em.
Yeah, so the whole Fox deal is because of the emails that came out from that Dominion lawsuit. And so there's a lot of fallout from all those internal emails that became public knowledge because of that lawsuit.
at some point, someone like him, when it becomes, unless you're so, your heart is 110% into it. At some point, when it starts to be such a problem to your life, to your well-being and everything, screw it. Lord knows he's not hurting for money. He
I
can just
get-
go and live life very comfortably from this point on, and just like, you know what, screw it.
I have a feeling he's gonna start his own YouTube channel. Watch. How much you
Well,
wanna bet?
As many of them
gonna-
as they've laid off, I wouldn't be surprised to see
He's gonna be like-
a new media arm show up someplace with all
Yeah,
these
he's-
people that fell out.
He's gonna be like another Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. Watch, he's gonna end up start. I
But
wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start a YouTube.
let's see here. Who is it that owns CNN?
AT&T.
They have come in and freaking shredded CNN for the whole
Oh, they've gotten over $1 billion.
political leaning bullshit kind of crap, and they've literally started cleaning house, and it's like,
Well, like I said too, they were threatening to sell the company a couple years ago because CNN was costing them billions in lawsuits for defamation lawsuits and everything else. Because they were, I mean, outright freaking just taking videos, pulling little clips here and there, putting them together. But if you watch the full clip, if you found the full clip online, it was nothing like what they were portraying it as. Whatever it might have been
We
about.
have that problem down here where our media edits it for their own narratives.
back
And when you
back
actually watch the full unedited clip, you get a different
Now,
perspective.
they all do it, but CNN was so bad at it.
Again,
our
back to my
ABC
comment
does the
that
same thing down here.
they're worse. I'm telling you, the TV news places are worse than Hitler's PR machine ever was.
Yeah,
Worse. 10
Because-
times worse.
yeah. We have two down here. One is the Australian Broadcasting Commission, otherwise known as the ABC, and we've also got Sky News Australia.
Yeah,
Now,
they're more
both
like
of-
your Fox. I've watched
Yeah,
them.
now both of those, the ABC is very left leaning and Sky News is very right leaning. So if you watch something on the ABC, if you watch the news on ABC and then you watch this very same news item on Sky News, they are completely different.
Well, the thing
Both
is
of them
like
have
I
different
said,
perspectives.
all of the news agencies, whether they're right or left over here, are all guilty of it. But
Yeah, that's what I'm
CNN
saying.
was just on a whole different level.
Yeah,
MSNBC
that's
was
what the
even
ABC
worse.
does here.
Like the just the amount of crap that spewed out of their mouths that was just outright lies was insane.
Yep. Definitely. But
And
it's
I want-
interesting that both have a different perspective on an identical news item. That's what I
Biggest thing
find
that pissed me off
fascinating.
about CNN was they made everything racial, like every freaking news story.
Exactly.
And it was so annoying.
Exactly. They have to find a victim in every one of them.
Back to the only news is bad news, right?
Yep.
Well, and
They
bad
have to
news
find
makes money.
outrage. They have to find the victim. They have to play the victim. And that's how their news is always portrayed down here. And
Yeah,
it
I
gets sickening after a while.
There's no middle. Back to the original conversation. right?
Exactly,
There's
there's no
kind of
middle.
like there's no middle.
There's no
I
balance.
actually-
There's no
I-
middle.
I
You're either one
actually,
way or the other here.
I actually like watching the guys on YouTube more than I do mainstream media.
Yep.
And that's going to be the danger for the mainstream media. Everybody's cutting the cord. So
They're
that
going
makes
dark
those
little.
TV things that much more vulnerable to becoming a dinosaur.
Because
Yeah.
like a lot of the guys, like I said, like Fox and CNN will both take clips and show you what they want to, but you like Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro or any of the guys on YouTube, they'll show you the entire video and then
Exactly.
go through it and break it down the way that they believe whatever the situation might be. You'll actually get to see the full video
Yeah.
without it being spliced up.
What-
I say you show the whole video and let the person watching it judge
And I'll tell you what, Ben Shapiro
what it
is
is.
a hell of a debater, man.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So-
Every time he gets a heckler, he just slams them.
So Dominic, let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if you have kids, but you know,
I don't.
I have a daughter. So one of the things that I've worked massively hard with her is getting her to think, right?
Yes.
And so everything when something there's a choice, right? I always tell her weigh the pros and the cons, right? And my challenge is to get her to think about what are all the pros and all the cons. The problem with the news stuff, there isn't
Yeah.
here's a thing, here's the pros, here's the cons, right? To let everybody
Yeah.
make
Decide.
a decision based on and decide based on here's kind of the facts on both sides kind of thing. There's
Yeah.
again, where's the middle, right?
Exactly. We're gonna find that middle.
We gotta find that middle. And so you got one side only giving you the pros and one side giving you only the cons. And,
Yeah.
and it's like, can't we just have one that gives us both and let everybody try to make a
No, you gotta
rational
watch-
decision?
You basically got to watch both news services and then make your own mind up.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally if I'm watching a story on one of them and it has to do with like some kind of video or something,
Yeah.
I'll watch both, but then I'll go out and I'll try to find the full video to watch it
Yeah.
to see exactly what happened. And then you'll kind of see what bullshit they sprinkled on top of it and you'll be able to
Yeah.
kind of figure it out for yourself.
To
Like
cut
if-
it up and fit their own narrative. Yeah.
Because they'll say, oh, a cop shot an unarmed man. And then you'll go and you'll actually, but they'll cut out the part where the unarmed man turned around and pointed a gun at the cop. And you
Exactly.
won't see that part. of it,
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
that one, where the hell was that? I don't know if that was Minneapolis or Brooklyn. That one teenage kid that got shot. The cop chased him into the freaking alley and the kid went sort of
That's him.
stood halfway next to the fence and he threw the gun. But when he turned around, the cop had no freaking idea whether the kid had it, didn't have it. And
They don't realize how fast of a decision you have to make.
Hmm.
How splits.
and they all and you know, you had one side kind of completely going nutty over it. And I feel sorry for the kid. I absolutely do. You know, we all know all of us have all made dumb mistakes and done dumb things, right? You shouldn't necessarily wind up dead for doing that, but he kind of put himself in that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna put yourself in a situation where you're running from the cops with a gun, I mean, that's your,
Yeah,
if you get shot and killed, that's pretty much your decision.
you're kind of
Yeah.
asking for it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Whether the cop, you know, would have had a second more to decide or anything. I mean, you can't, that's why I said they actually had a guy that was very anti-police. And he was willing to go to a police training facility and train with the cops. And they put him through a bunch of courses. And it was to pretend the guy was pulling a gun on him and gave him the time to react to it. And every single time, the dude shot the suspect because he didn't have enough time to realize whether the guy was actually going to shoot at him or not.
Mm.
Then he realized, he kind of had an awakening at that point that, hey, cops really don't have the time to really think about this.
Exactly.
And the person put themselves in that own situation. It was actually kind of cool to watch. Like, it was very interesting because the guy almost walked away with a higher respect for the police and realized that he was kind of wrong on a lot of his views on it.
And the incidents where it's obvious that the cop is wrong, right? There was that one guy in South Carolina. He flat out, you know, it was a car stop. The guy ran away from him. He had no weapon. He knew that the guy had no weapon. He just stood there and shot him down in cold blood. I mean, you look at things like that and you go, that cop was just dead wrong. He's in jail now, which is good.
Exactly.
So, you know, that was obvious. Okay, you're an idiot cop. You need to go to jail kind of thing. But there are a lot of them where it's that split decision thing that is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't.
Go live it and try.
And that's kind of what that guy did. He kind of put his money where his mouth was and went and
You know, in the
He said,
military,
yeah.
we call that the fog of war. You know how many bad things happen in the fog of war?
yeah, and like I said, and there's like over 130 million police interactions every year. The percentage of that actually happening is so low, but yet they're making such a huge deal about it. But it's something that you're never going to prevent. It's always going to happen. But if it's
Mhm.
happening in super small numbers, to me, that's a win. Because it isn't an epidemic. It's not something that's happening millions of times a year. It's
You-
literally a handful of times out of over 130 million interactions every year. with
You
police.
know, Taser at one point proposed creating a drone with tasers for the police, right?
Right.
And when they started talking about that, oh my God, the noise from half the country. Oh, they're gonna do it more. Da, 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 da. And I'm sitting here thinking, what would you rather have the cops do? Shoot you with a taser and be wrong, or shoot you with a gun and be wrong?
And look what Joe said. He said, my son was about to pull someone over the other night. The guy stopped his car, got out, ran to the back of his son's police car, yelling at him. Son drew his weapon quickly. Could have really
Oh
been a
yeah,
bad
yeah,
situation
yeah, yeah.
for sure.
Oh my God.
He's lucky your son didn't shoot him. I mean, because that your son could have literally feared for his life at that particular moment.
You have no idea whether that guy is jacked up on drugs or what
No.
may be going on.
Look what happened to me last weekend. That guy that we pulled out of the woods. I mean, he wasn't.
Oh
pulling-
yeah, that dude. Yeah, yeah.
He wasn't pulling a weapon on me, but he was playing bullshit and playing the unconscious act. And I'm like, we're out in the middle of the wilderness. I've got 20 to 30 minutes before a cop gets there. I just decided to check him for weapons. Sure enough, I found one. When I went to take it, that's when he tried to fight me. And was that a dumb move maybe on me? I throat punched him. You know, I didn't give it full force. I didn't hit him real hard, but I knew it would knock the wind out of him. You know, and just goes back some years ago, some martial arts training that always told me a man can't breathe, man can't fight.
You know, I was at one of our conferences once, and well, actually this happened in New Orleans is where it actually happened. A partner and a customer and one of our employees, they had a guy show up in front of them, right?
back,
With his hand in his pocket, and they robbed him. But I told one of our managers, I'm like, you know what? Being from the military, some idiot like that would have shown up. I probably would have just hit him in the throat. One, he probably didn't actually have a gun. And two, he wouldn't have known
Mm-mm.
to react, right?
Nope.
The funny part of it is there are a few sort of critical points on the body that you could hit somebody that will take them out.
Wow.
and straight in the throat. That guy standing there with his hand in the pocket, I'm probably going to hit him in the throat before he can do anything with what's in his pocket.
Nope.
And I guarantee you, he's going to bend over and go to the ground.
You know, it's like Justin was saying, it's that adrenaline rush, you know, that, I mean, I pulled it out of his back and next, you know, he had his hand on my hand,
Mm-hmm.
right on the gun. And I just used the left and went wham.
Mm-hmm. Good
Like
shot
that-
in good shot in the ribs would do it too.
And in
Yeah.
all reality, Ron, technically you're a first responder, so you had every right to protect yourself.
Yeah. Well,
But that
Oh,
the manager looked at me like, you're nuts. And I'm like, you know, I spent 20 years in the military. They trained us on some of this stuff. So why wouldn't I use something like that in a situation like that if it came up? And I thought I could do it.
it wasn't the military for me, it was the Philly. It came out.
Are you taking out, Paul? Yeah, I'm taking out too. So who's got control? Anybody here? I'm going for coffee, so.
The bad part is, Ron, why do the good people have to put up with that? I don't
Yeah.
get it.
No,
Why do the people,
Dominic is large and in charge.
why do those of us that have worked hard in life, educated ourselves, got good jobs and careers. What the hell is it with these people that want to take the lazy way out?
Hmm.
Although I do have an interesting solution to the problem. Although
Hmm.
don't get mad at me. This is not intended to be hugely bad. But I've told a few people, I think the solution to part of the world's problem, just give free drugs away. The idiots will kill themselves and OD, and the good people who are left afterwards are the ones that are probably meant to be here.
Well, and I actually said something about
That's
that.
it's freaking scary to think like that. You obviously don't really want that to happen, and obviously you want people to have second and
Well-
third chances and all that kind of stuff. But it's
Well,
kind of one of
Ron,
those.
Well, I
Think
got a
about it.
question for Ron as a medic. How many times do you feel like you have to save somebody from ODing before it's just like we're not doing this no more?
Oh, countless.
Because I feel like if you have to save somebody with Narcan 3 or 4 times, that's ridiculous at that point. It's just
Yeah.
like, let them go. Like, how many times do we have to waste money and save you? Because I always understood drugs is an addiction there, that people have a
Yeah.
problem later. How I just,
Yeah, see you guys. I gotta
No
Well,
worries.
that
I'll
the,
take
the
care of everything.
addiction is addiction, but what were you thinking that moment when you first decided to stick that needle in your arm or snort that cocaine
Yeah.
up your nose? You
No,
know what I'm
I-
saying?
I
At
shouldn't
that
say-
time, you're level-headed at that point.
Yeah.
I should admit this in a public forum, but the place I worked at back outside of Philly, especially I remember around mischief night, Halloween night, when we'd have
Mhm.
God knows how many overdoses and so many freaking calls. We would kind of mainline them. You find them laying there unconscious. And the thing with Narcan
What's up,
is,
Bill?
depending on how
Hey, Bill.
fast you push it, the reaction that they get. And sometimes we wouldn't even start an IV. I'd mainline them. And I'd push it fast. They get sick from it sometimes, but they wake up really quick and they want to fight. I get on the radio and say, patient escaped, Sixth and Main, we're available.
Hmm.
In other words, we mainlined them, they woke up, they wanted to fight, I'm like, okay, see you, bye.
Just let them all run out the back door.
Mhm. We're off,
Well, I'm glad your son was okay, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glad he didn't get hurt.
You know, there's an interesting tidbit about freedom that I tell people. Everybody loves to talk about freedom, right? Oh,
Mm.
we're free to do this, free to do that, kind of thing.
Freedom comes with consequences.
And I like to tell everybody, freedom is a double-edged sword. You
Yeah.
are free to succeed, which is what everybody, you're like, oh, succeed, but you're also free to fail. That's the part of freedom.
Exactly.
It's your choice, right? It's about choice. You're free to succeed or you're free to fail. And it's not everybody else's job to pick your ass up when you fail. It's your friends, it's your family, it's your church, it's your community. It's their job to try to help, but it's not everybody else's job to come bail you out.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like I've always said, I understand addiction is addiction, but it's like, at some point, it's like, how much time are you gonna waste on somebody if they're not gonna want to help themselves and you keep
Oh, valid
trying?
point.
And not to mention, I mean, let's face it, the government rehab centers are just crap anyway. They send
Oh,
somebody to rehab.
definitely. Yeah.
Like here, dude, I've seen people who are bad on drugs and they take them to the hospital and they put them in a week's rehab. I'm like, what the hell is that gonna do?
nothing.
Exactly.
They need to be in there for like 6 months minimum, not a
Oh,
fucking
come on.
week.
What's the running joke with prisoners? Why do they go to jail?
We get better drugs.
Free room and board and a meal, hot meal. 3 hots and a cot.
To get better so they don't get caught the next time, right?
Exactly.
And not to actually get a real education. Well, they get an education. They get an education on how not to get caught.
Mm.
The rehabilitation rate is so
Poor. It's horrible.
Yeah.
it's horrible. Yeah, it's
Right.
bad.
Like I was talking about my uncle not too long ago. He's one of the rare ones. He got arrested for having a meth lab. got
Hmm.
like 6 or 7 years in prison, got out, quit smoking, didn't drink, hasn't done nothing. That's been over about 20 years ago and has never been in
That
trouble
happens
since then.
once they get a dose of reality, they get.
But it's very little. That's the problem.
But
Yeah, it's a
I
small
forget what the
percentage.
percentage, the percentage is higher of repeat offenders or repeat,
Recidivism.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the word.
Some, that have been in for years and years, they get out and they're so lost in technology and advances and everything, it scares them. And They
You're
they
funny,
do something
Larry.
purposely just to get it back in. They're
Mm.
more comfortable inside.
I actually like that whole 3 strikes law that California had.
Yeah.
Get 3 felonies, your ass goes to prison for life. Obviously, you didn't learn the first
Yeah.
few times. It's like
Exactly.
how many, because in North Carolina, when I was living in North Carolina, dude, you'd see people on the streets with like 18, 20 felonies on their record. I'm like,
Yeah.
how the hell are you even walking the streets?
Exactly.
Like, seriously, like how many times do you have to get in trouble before they're just like, all right, you're a
Oh,
habitual
definitely.
offender.
I'm all for giving people a second chance. But,
But not,
third, fourth, fifth, how many
Yeah.
more chances are you going to give them?
Maybe we should do there's an old movie, Escape from New York.
Yep, I remember
Anybody
that.
remember that movie?
yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen it.
great movie.
Maybe we should just create an island somewhere and take all those people and just put them all on the same island
Yeah.
and let them
I don't
figure
know
out how to live.
I don't know if that's a good idea because the British did that and now we have Dominic and Matt.
Yeah, now we have Australia.
Yeah, there is a
Exactly.
point to there's a point to that, I suppose.
Yeah, we're living proof.
That's how Australia started, right? You got the big prison camp.
Yeah,
They're
I
like,
don't
we'll
know.
just stick them on this little island down in the south there.
yeah.
What I know is I'm not smart enough to solve this problem. So
Mm.
You look
Uh,
at, I hate the profile, but in this area here, you look at our Native American population. They know they can do whatever. Their healthcare is free.
Yeah,
They
I'm
can
gonna
go off the reservation, commit crimes as soon as they're
I'm
back.
gonna
to
stay
the
out of that I'm gonna stay out of this conversation
Yeah. But I'm
because
sorry,
it would
but
be
it is true.
it would be considered racist for me to make any commentary on our First Nations Indigenous people. But just say that your reservations equal our First Nations people. I'm not going to say anything more.
Yep, I understand, Dominic, but I use the example.
Oh, you're stating fact. I'm stating fact as well, but they just don't seem to they don't seem to understand the reality of the fact. So
Yeah.
I'll just leave it
When
there.
you're raised like that and that's bred into you, look at that woman who we had about 3-4 years ago. She stabbed the guy 7 times. That's attempted murder. Now, this happened on the reservation. And she wanted to get on our plane. She was playing that, oh, my poor boyfriend, he's hurt so bad. I want to come with you. I'm so worried for him.
Yep.
Got halfway to the hospital and my satellite phone rings on the plane. It's my dispatcher saying, Ron, please tell me that girlfriend is not on board with you. I'm like,
oh, I remember you telling this story.
I can't tell you that. I'd be lying. So, well, the cops are looking for her. They found out the story you were told is untrue. She's bipolar. She still has the knife probably on her. And I wouldn't trust her with the inch of your life. But the thing of it is, when we got to the receiving, Rapid City, we got to the receiving city. I had a SWAT team there that was sneaking and hiding. And as soon as she got off the plane, she was taken away in handcuffs.
Yep.
She had no idea that was coming. An hour later, we find her free. Because when Rapid City, South Dakota police called the reservation and said, we have her. We got her in custody.
Yep.
I'm sorry, we can't come get her. She's out of our jurisdiction now. And it happened on the reservation, the sovereign nation. You can't.
Yep. We have that same problem.
You know that. She knew.
Jody.
Yeah. And that's the sad part. And you know what? She'll do it again. She'll pull that shit again.
Well,
I don't know what
Yep.
happens if she went back on the res. What would happen?
Yep.
Well, banks caught a lot of crap because for a while there, a lot of banks were refusing to give loans for cars and stuff to Indians from reservations because they had a problem with them taking the cars on the reservation. And then they weren't able to repo them because they weren't paying the bills on them. But then the banks got a bunch of crap saying they were being, discriminatory.
Yep.
But they were just looking at it as from a business standpoint,
Oh, definitely.
It don't matter what freaking color your skin is or what your nationality is. If you have a safe place you can run and hide and they can't do nothing about it, why would I want to give you money? If Ron could run onto his property and I couldn't touch the vehicle I paid for, gave him the money to buy, and he's not paying me back, why the hell would I give him the money?
It was funny, small little town up in North Dakota. I forget who was telling me this story, but they have usually one cop on duty. Now they got two because it's about 10 miles from the reservation. And when some of the Native Americans come into town and they commit their crimes, they haul ass and they head back towards the res. Well, now that second cop, what his main job is he sits and waits. Here they come. He makes sure that they don't get back on the reservation.
Ah,
And not to say any of those people aren't good people, but some of them understand that that's a loophole and they can exploit
They
it.
do.
Because
You know?
I think the federal government can go on a reservation if
They
need
can.
be for certain situations.
Yep.
They
If
can
you-
actually override that,
Yep. That's like me, when
but
those wild
local and
dogs,
state can't.
those wild dogs were on the when I first started working in Rosebud. And I was seriously, I was nervous and scared that these freaking dogs were gonna attack me. But the local cops said, if you discharge your firearm on this reservation, it's gonna cost you more problems than it's worth. I said, so it's gonna cost me more problems in my life. I said, those dogs, they've already killed a child. They disabled another woman. They chewed up her leg so bad that she ended up losing her leg. But I told the one cop, I said, you know what, I'm gonna take off. We'll go on a low speed or a high speed chase. I don't care. But once I'm off the res, you're done. You gotta back off, chase. Are they gonna put me in prison because I shot a dog? No. But yeah, it's weird.
you know what it really boils down to? When I
Mm.
teach my daughter this. It's not about race.
About what's right or wrong.
Bingo. It's about what's right or wrong. And that's what one of the things I've taught her is being an idiot is an equal opportunity thing. All races, all humans have our percentage of idiots,
That's
right?
the thing we need
Humans,
to find.
regardless
that's
of
the
what
thing
the
we need
race
to
is,
find,
humans, we have our bad percent.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't legislate against it, and we can never find a vaccine against
Well,
stupidity.
the
That'd be the
biggest,
first one I'd love to find.
another big point to that too is it all depends on what kind of culture you grow up in too.
Yeah. But again, coming from the military side, I just tell everybody I'm colorblind because the day you step off the bus, the drill sergeants are beating it into your head. Leave every bias on that bus. You all wear
Yeah.
the same uniform. You all bleed the same blood. And when you're in that foxhole, you don't know who's going to save your ass. So
Mhm.
take all your biases and park them away. And that's the way you spend the rest of your military career. That a soldier is a soldier is a soldier.
Yeah.
All that other stuff doesn't mean much.
Oh, definitely.
I don't want it to sound like I was, and I know it does just because I'm so subject to it, but like I'm profiling, but I've had some people, on the res. I had one kid, he was like 18, 19 years old, and he was playing around with a 22 and he shot himself in the leg. We took him to the hospital, and you know what he said to me on the way? I'll never forget this. He looked at me and he said, you know what? He said, I've got to get the hell out
David,
get off that reservation if I'm going to make something of my life. He said, I stay there. He said, I'm with the wrong people. I want to get into trouble. I want to do drugs. I want to drink. He goes, I got to get off. I'm like, holy cow.
That's part of what.
And I complimented him, for saying that, feeling that way.
That's part of what Justin was saying. It's some of it is cultural or environments or areas, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
You feel sad.
It is.
Mm. When did you sneak in, David?
About an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
He came
I
in
just
about
looked up
5
and
minutes
went,
ago.
I
Uh,
just looked up and
well-
went, shit, there's another one.
Well, it's 6:20, so I'm jumping out.
Okay.
Me,
See y'all later.
see
But
it.
yeah,
Hey,
Ron,
guys.
it really boils down to good people versus bad people.
It does, you
Mm.
know, Rod, and I'm
It's a-
kind of like,
Take everything else out of it. It's what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah.
Literally what it boils down to.
and I'm kind of like you, where we come from different, you know, from the military side, and you know, where we've been kind of hardened by our
Mhm.
background and
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, like I said, I have just found in this job that I've got to flip switches in such a drastic direction sometimes. I could have, you know, I just remember, what was that, 2-3 weeks ago? I had that guy, he was drunk. He had a history of doing drugs. He called and threatened his wife. And he threatened to kill her. She said, I'm gonna call the cops. He said, go ahead. He goes, I'll shoot them too. So it turned into a vehicle chase, then into a foot chase, and then into a shootout. Somehow one of the snipers shot this guy and they shot him in the leg, and we ended up taking him to a local trauma center. But
Mhm.
the guy was so pissed, he wanted death by cop. And you know, he bitched and screamed and was cursing at the cops, and you know what, you know, and then he asked me, he goes, about shooting and hunting and everything. He's like, why the hell didn't you shoot me? And I'm like, I wasn't there, dude. But you know, I after about a half hour with him, it's like, you know what, I'm about sick of your mouth. You know, it's like, you know, you're a dumbass. In my mind, I didn't say it out loud, but in my mind, I'm like, you're a freaking dumbass. And you know, you deserve everything you get. An hour later, I have a 70-year-old woman that's having a severe stroke and is scared and, you know, wanting to hold my hand and everything. And it's like, you know, so I've got to completely switch that mentality, like instantaneously, you know.
I don't envy the emotional swings for the first responders, cops, fire, medic, the
I've seen a lot of
the
that down here.
extremes that you go through
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
is
that. I
is
can understand it.
unreal.
Just had a thought then, Ron.
Yeah.
You're you're a first responder, and that guy goes, "Why didn't you shoot me?" Because that's the first thing a paramedic does, and it goes in there and makes the wound to heal it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Keeps you in business.
yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's where Ron, where I go back to my comment earlier about, okay, just hand the guy some fentanyl. Here you go. You know, you want to take care of yourself? Here you go.
Yep.
Again, freedom, right?
There's
Yeah.
a
Freedom
saying-
is the freedom
Freedom.
is free to succeed or free to fail. If the guy wants to die and kill himself, let him die
Yep.
and kill himself. He chose to do that. Why is it everybody else's fault?
There's a standing joke we use in EMS, you know, it's go ahead and piss me off. The drugs I use and the IV catheters I use are my choice. Keep it up.
Yeah, there is a point to that, I suppose.
Yeah.
The you can use the little needle or the big needle. Which one would you like?
Which drugs, you know, the drugs I like, you might not like.
Yeah.
Little
But
creative.
again, it goes back to the good versus the bad, right?
Yeah,
And how much do the good people have to put up with? And that's not to say that all bad people are always going to be bad forever, but man, there are some people you can just look at them and go, they ain't never going to turn out to be anything ever.
Mm.
It's sad to see, and most reasonable people tend to be able to see that in the ones that are absolutely self-destructive, right?
Tell you what the biggest problem with this planet is now. There's no amount of discipline anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moral character doesn't count.
There's no discipline, too many drugs, and too many do-gooders. You know what? there's too many people on the extremes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've talked about this
And
earlier.
that
Where's the
was
middle?
basically what we've been talking about before you turned up. We need to find the middle. And that's
Where's
what
the middle?
we talked about that for pretty much an hour.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you,
We
I'll
need
tell
to
you where
find
the
the
middle
middle.
is.
What do you mean exactly, Dominic?
We need to find the middle of the two extremes. We've got an extreme, we've got an ideology of the extreme left, and then we've got the ideology of the extreme right. We need to find balance between the two of them so they don't pretty much kill each other.
Now, I'll tell you what you need. You need to stop the people, yeah, that use the other side for their own gain. Because
That's what I'm trying to say,
No,
basically.
what I'm
Yes.
saying is, you'll guarantee you'll find if you go up against a far right person, yeah, they'll always go, "It's my right." And who got you that right? The
The
far
sovereign
left.
citizens.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. That's what I was trying to say.
Guys like me who served.
Well,
Yeah.
That's who gave you the right.
Well,
Exactly.
Dominic, I think going back to what Rod said, and 100% right. You know what George Washington said. It's going to be
The end of the country.
the end of the country is going to be. You're not going to see a middle. It ain't gonna
We have to
It's-
find some sort of middle, though. We
Yeah.
have
You
to find
hope.
some sort of
I agree.
tolerance.
I agree with you, but it's not going to happen.
do you
I
know?
know it's not going to happen, but we have to find a way that everybody can tolerate each other.
So, Dominic, here's a question. Since you mentioned Star Trek, I'm a big Star Trek
Yep.
guy too.
Yeah, same here. Yep.
So, what was the event that changed humanity?
Well, you could probably say contact, though.
No, before the Vulcans ever showed
Ah.
up, what changed humanity? What was the event that changed humanity?
They're
World War III, and they nuked themselves into oblivion, and there were only a handful of humans still around, right?
yeah,
You know, the sad truth is, I think the only way that humanity is ever going to change in some massive way is through some massive catastrophe. I don't think we learn with little things. I think we only
Yeah.
learn when big honking things come up and smack society hard.
yeah,
And unfortunately, I think it's probably going to take us nuking ourselves for people to like
yeah.
get in their right mind to go, what the hell were we thinking? Why were we arguing over such little shit that
Yeah.
caused us to almost
Understandably.
destroy ourselves?
Understandably, but it might need to happen, but at the same time, we all need to learn tolerance. Until that,
Agreed.
maybe we have to nuke people into tolerance.
Well,
Mm,
I just want to bring it back a little bit to what Dominic said. We all have to find a way to live with each other. And I'm sorry, the British did find a way. We moved all our criminals to Australia.
Exactly. We've been down that road.
Yeah,
We've
and
already
then,
made that comment.
yeah, and then some idiot invented air travel and he came back.
Yeah. We've already made that comment. Yeah.
you know, and I think that's the reality, honestly, for most people. Most people just want to live and not be bothered by the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Do
I
their
don't want people
thing.
pissing me
and-
off.
and I say this about a lot of things. It's like, even though I probably lean to the right on that subject, but it's one of those things. Whatever people want to do inside their own home, as long as it's not hurting somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why the hell are they talking about it?
I don't care what
There
you
are
do.
some things that
Yeah,
should just
I don't care
stay
what
in the
other people
house.
do. Just don't try and force me into doing something that I don't want to do.
I
You
tell
know.
you what, we've had this debate before, and I'll say it again. What we've got to allow is people to live how they want to live. You know what?
Yep.
Without
Yeah.
hurting others.
Yes, but if a man wants to swing one way, that's his choice. If he wants to swing the other way, his choice. And if he wants to go out and bang a drum, so be it. Yeah. And if a man wants to be a woman, so be it. If a woman wants to be a man, so be it. We all have to learn to get on with our own lives. And what the only time we should get involved is like we've had over here, where that guy tried to change himself to a woman to get away with rape. You know, when you're
that
using,
comes the part of not hurting others.
when
yeah,
you're
yeah, that
yeah.
comment that I made, right? Do
Oh,
what
yes.
you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
But
Yes.
one thing I've seen a lot of recently, and unfortunately, you guys have brought it up a lot. My good friend or family friend, Paul O'Grady, has just recently died. Yeah.
Mhm.
He was a cross dresser, Lily
Mhm.
Savage, everything. Yeah. It was quite a shock. Yeah. But he was a family friend.
Yeah.
Nothing
I
wrong
know
with
Louis
that.
Savage,
He wasn't
yes.
hurting anybody. As
But
long as he wasn't hurting anybody, he can do whatever he
but-
wants to.
he did a lot for charity.
Yes, I know Lily Savage, so I know who you're talking
And
about.
unfortunately, over the last few weeks, since the this guy in Scotland trying to change himself, and since Bud Light incident, there's a lot of people going on saying they can do what they want, but don't flaunt it. And that's because people don't understand the situation. If you've got a cross dresser, they are not going out deliberately to flaunt it at you. They're not going out going, look at me, boys. Yeah. They're going out because that's what they want to be. They want to cross dress.
But you know, the thing about David, it wasn't the.
No, I know he did.
that
a
was
lot
his
of
name,
other
Dylan
stuff.
Mulvaney. It wasn't him. It was the director of marketing that insulted the rest of America.
Yeah.
Don't cram things down people's throats.
She
That's what,
insulted. yeah, the country.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
She
Well,
I can
insulted
understand where
everybody.
David is coming from. Yes.
And exactly like Dominic said, you know, she insulted the rest of America. It's like, wow, okay, we need to get into the new times here. And all the loyal supporters and buyers of that beer, she basically put them down.
Yeah. She didn't know a marketplace. That's the Yeah.
Exactly. She couldn't read the room.
but
I'm all for inclusion.
no, but again, that's somebody going, let me be a do-gooder and let me dictate how we
Exactly.
should
You
treat a
push it too far.
and you'll find
I'm all for inclusion. You do
100%.
whatever you want.
but if you'll find that the most people that bang on about transgender rights and gay rights and whatever else, all this LGBT, malarkey, you'll find that the ones that bang the drum the loudest are not actually that way. Yeah. So you've got
All right, great,
The
Lauren.
politics about it, right?
yeah, you got the gays. The gays just don't want it pushed in everybody's face. They want to get on and they want to meet their own people, not their own, what I mean? They want to meet other gay people. They want to be friends with straight people. Yeah. They're not going to go after a straight person because what's the darn point? Yeah. But you always find there's be a do-gooder that will sit there and go, you must do this because they feel, it's the same in the race debate. Yeah, it's the same.
Again, the middle, right? Why do we got to cram everything down everybody's throat?
We're getting all this at the moment. Diane Abbott, she's made some comments and yes, they were ill-judged.
Yeah.
But she's now being accused of being anti-Semitic. But that's the problem. If you say anything about Jewish people, you're anti-Semitic. You cannot actually have a go. It's not all Jewish people. I know Jewish people. They're lovely people. I know the stereotypical Jewish person. I've seen it, but they're not the ones that are going around going, you can't say that. You can't do that. It's people using it for political gain or for their own agenda.
And you know,
Yeah.
the thing with that, like even that beer commercial thing, you know, and I get it from a female perspective side, you know, all these companies, Nike and Bud Light and some of the other ones, you know, they're wanting to represent this guy who's not a true woman. He's not a real woman and never will be. But and if you see the way he acts like that's the other thing. You look at someone like him, or you look at that Caitlyn Jenner. You
Yeah.
know, this Dylan Mulvaney, he acts like a fucking 2-year-old. The way he talks and jumps around.
Caitlyn Jenner's
acts like a
really
fucking
the
idiot.
one that. Yeah, Blair White is another one that really talks sense. Those
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner and Blair White.
Caitlin's the one that's talking that girl / guy down for that whole
Yeah, I know.
crap. Going, you're the problem that creates the problem for us.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I even
Yeah.
saw
Caitlyn Jenner
video
really
on-
talks sense.
I even saw a video on YouTube with that Dylan Mulvaney before he did the cross dressing. He was on The Price is Right, and you should have seen the way he acted on there. It wasn't Bob Barker; it was the guy after him. But he's like, "Yo, dude, keep your distance." He was acting like an idiot. He was jumping on the ground and rolling around and
Yep.
and acting like a real moron, acting like a 2-year-old. Grow the hell up. Show some
Exactly.
maturity. If you want to represent a woman, then show some maturity.
Yeah.
Don't act like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, but there you go. That's another thing. A transgender person cannot represent a woman or a man. Yeah.
And especially in sport.
Or these companies, they can.
But yeah, and that's another thing in sport. You know what? We're going to have to get to a level field where we say, okay, you've got women football, you got men football, and we'll have transgender football.
Yeah, you know,
I
I
think
keep
that's-
thinking about that when it comes to the sports thing. It's like, okay, so why don't they just create the middle ground and go, here you go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you got your own league, man.
and the public toilets. You know what? And
Yeah, that's a big thing over here.
And David, did you hear what our godforsaken president is doing now to colleges? That if they don't permit these transgender, such as, you know, male going to female, play in female sports, then they're going to cut their federal
I'm
funding.
reading the chat, Laura.
you know what I say to him? Piss the hell off. You know what?
I'll say that all you want, but he's getting away with it.
I'm all for transgender rights, as you already know. You know,
Keep in
Same here.
mind.
I am happy for everyone to have the equal opportunity, but you can't have a man that's converted because he has an unfair advantage, and that is not.
This has been in our news daily. We've got how do we say this? A man that's converted themselves and wants to play in our sporting league. You don't see it done the reverse, do you?
No.
You know, there was an article, God, not that
Where
long
women
ago.
become men and try and become that.
No,
But
there was an article not that long ago where there was a male weightlifter, and he literally just went, okay, I'm a woman, and entered the woman and set like the world record. He still had his beard and everything. He was trying to make a point, was kind of what what he was doing about, you know, this shouldn't happen, right? If you're a normal person, you look at this and kind of go, this is just not fair, right? Again, right versus wrong, like we were talking about, Ron.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not, and I'll point something out. It's not just in the transgender thing in sport as well. It's we have a problem over here. We have Welsh teams in the English league, and unfortunately, those Welsh teams are dealt with by the Welsh FA.
Yeah.
So last Wednesday, we had this big punch up at the end of the game, and somehow out of 60 people, only one player from Senegal, that plays for Preston, was
Yep.
singled out. He got a 4-game ban. Everyone else got off scot-free. The
Yep.
players that caused the problem, because they're under the Welsh FA, will not face any action. Preston North End, under the English FA, may do
Yep.
so. It's not sport. Sport should be everyone's on a level playing field that's in taking part. So, in other words, if you want to play in the English league, you're dealt with by the English FA. If you want to play in the Welsh league, you're under the Welsh FA. It's how it should be. You know, that's like an English player going over to America, you know, committing a foul and saying, "Oh no, I'm not taking an 8-game ban for that." No, because over in the UK, it's only a 3-match ban. Yeah, it doesn't work. It shouldn't be.
You know, the other thing that bothers me the most, David, is in my job, and I had to go to a class for this, that if I make
Oh, you're going to know about the pronouns now, are you?
I make the mistake of addressing somebody the wrong way, you know, I don't use the correct pronoun. I'm just so used after 30 years of doing this. Yes, you know, I'm old school. I use politeness, especially
Laura's in the
older
chat.
than me.
Yeah,
Yes,
Laura
ma'am, yes, sir. But if I accidentally call somebody a sir or a ma'am and they're trying to identify it,
Yeah.
I can get fired because I
Yeah,
insulted
you
them.
can't call anybody love or darling over here because they get
Same old.
extremely
It's not-
offended.
Yes,
It's now a criminal offence to wolf whistle.
Yeah, I know.
Even if your wolf whistle, if I wolf whistle at my birds, and I often do, because they react to it, I can. If my neighbour was to hear that and suspect that I whistled at them, they can report me to the police and I can be arrested. What the goddamn hell's that all about?
Paul, we're
Again,
breaking
where's the
rules that
middle?
we've been talking.
Paul, you're
politics.
still yeah, Paul, you're still muted, by the way.
So one visionario, Army Guard. I was in the field artillery for 15 years. I blew things up for a living. And then I spent the last 5 years on the CERT team downstream from the NSA.
Here, I'll break the ice. I'll change the subject. I shared this morning. Photo, Rod, I took late last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, this was in the news that a good chunk of the US was going to be able to see the Northern
Yeah, we
Lights.
saw it down here too.
Yeah,
Southeast coast and Tasmania got it.
yep, it's pretty
Well,
cool.
last night, our skies went purple with it.
Yeah,
And Ron, you know, the interesting part about it, and this is true, I think, kind of across the board. I think most people, most good people, just want to get along.
yeah.
It's just like
I don't judge
I'm
anybody
not,
by anything.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm not biased against you. Just don't shove your beliefs down my throat, right? You can believe whatever. You can believe Santa Claus exists. That's fine. Just don't make me have to believe that. And I'll be tolerant that you believe Santa Claus exists.
But that's the
Okay.
problem with
That's your right. You would believe, go for it.
But that's the problem as well with religion, isn't it? You know, you've got the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons that will knock on your door and try and convert you.
Mm,
You know what? I'm not against them having their own religion. I actually agree with some of the stuff that they do.
sure.
But don't knock on my freaking door. If I want to get into your religion, I'll come to your church. I'll research it. I will come to your church. I'll come and speak to you.
You know, there's something I find rather interesting that I've told people, and it's probably pretty true. I don't know that it is. I've obviously never done any research, but I've said, you know, given all the religions, human religions, and take them all around the world, different areas, and you look at what most of them believe, 80% of what they believe is probably in common. They only argue over the last 20%. So why can't we just believe in the 80 and ignore the 20?
Exactly.
And quit fighting with each other over the parts we disagree on.
And I think the other biggest problem is science is now proving religion's a lot of bollocks.
Yep. Agreed.
Because we are seeing things now. That's if we're going to believe that these images of galaxies far, far away are what they say they are. Because to me, it just looks like someone's got hold of paint and just got around in a circle and made an image and gone, that'll do. Let's put that out in the magazines.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that science will never be able to do, and this is what
Be
sort
able
of
to prove if there is or isn't a God.
God or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you know, they talk about Big Bang,
Good point,
but
Laura.
what created all that matter
Maybe
in the
that's it.
first place? Did it just like magically poof something, right?
I'll tell you what happened. Laura had a tin of beans, had a fart. I was putting the gas on. Bang.
Maybe we should push that. Maybe we should push that theory.
I created a whole new
That's what
solar
I created.
system.
You know, I've often wondered, what if there's like somebody like us and everything that we see in the universe is literally nothing but a little glass plate under their microscope that they created, right? What if our
Or-
entire universe, we have no idea the size and
happens
scale of what
if
exists
we-
around us.
What happens if we are a created version of Sims?
We could be in the Matrix, right?
Yeah. Someone's playing a computer. There's like a whole group of people on a computer game.
Could be. You never know.
That'll explain why I get so much shit.
Could be. Again, back to my question earlier: are we going to end up like Wall-E or Mad Max? Who knows?
I think it's gonna end up like Wall-E.
You think? You
Yeah.
think we won't destroy ourselves in the end?
We'll destroy the planet. But the thing is, we're already starting to look at now going to other planets.
The reality is, mathematically, we got to, because mathematically, the odds that the planet that an extinction level event is going to occur is 100%. We know that. The mathematics prove that. It's happened multiple times. We know it's going to happen again. That's why NASA fired that thing off the satellite to bump that asteroid to try to prevent things like that. But
Yeah. And now look, it's coming towards us.
yeah, maybe.
It wasn't until they hit it.
Yeah. You know, you hope humanity learns to get along with each other and quit tearing each other apart. That's what I really want.
See, if somebody has the mental health that makes someone to go transgender, you know, that believes they're a woman, then maybe treatment is right. However, everyone else should just dress as a woman if they want to dress as a woman, dress as a man if they want to dress as a man. What we were should not define us, because we shouldn't be playing God.
Yeah.
Because if there is a God, there will be a point where he goes, excuse me, guys, I didn't create this fucking shit. I actually created 4 genders. Now pack it in. You just don't know, do you? And like I say to everybody, the best way to be in life, even if you don't believe in God, or you do, the only way you can do things on earth is be as good as humanly possible.
Be a good human.
Do what you think is right, because you're edging your bets. If you go up there and there is a God, great. If you've been an absolute bellend on earth, not good. And here's another thing. How do we know we're not being tricked here? Right? Because if you spell live backwards, spells evil.
Exactly.
How do you know we're not being tricked?
It's a valid point.
I've often wondered whether, you know, because both sides on the religious thing and the non-religious thing and the whole science thing, it's like You know, there's kind of another question to be asked. What if both sides are right? If you stop and, what if both things are true?
It's an existential question there.
Then you have to ask yourself, how is it could both things be true? And I've kind of arrived,
Exactly.
at least the only conclusion that I can arrive to is, what if the universe really is the multiverse, right? Multiple dimensions. Heaven and earth could be occupying the exact same space, but be in different dimensions. And both things could potentially be right, because it really is a multiverse.
The only thing I'll say is that when I go, as long as whoever is left behind follow my simple rule, my simple wish, when I go, I want all the birds' ashes to come with me. Yeah, so, and I just hope that, because apart from you guys on here, people in my life have treated me like crap, apart from Laura. And well, maybe in a family, might as well put them in there. Yeah, but my family and everybody, what I've been through. So at the end of the day, when I go, I want my birds with me, and I hope that for some reason I get to see them again.
I'll go feed my critters. I'll join you on my lap or my iPad.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll be back.
yeah, we want to see the critters.
Yeah.
Like they said, what happens?
Lighten the subject a little bit.
What happens if the light that they tell you to head for at the end of the tunnel is the vagina you're reborn from?
Valid point.
Head for the light. God, it stinks.
That's another concept that is, how do you rationalize it? That whole reincarnation thing.
Truth be known, you know what? If I was to really get my wish, I'd like to just be buried. This sounds daft because everybody else wants to be cremated. They don't want what I want, but I want to become part of the circle of life. Bury me, I'll feed the maggots, will feed the worms, and the worms will feed the birds, and the birds will feed the foxes, and you just go round in a circle of life.
Yeah.
You're becoming part of that circle. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get a choice in that. It's not like when they're sending me through that curtain, I can go, whoa, stop a minute. I didn't want this one.
Anyways, yeah, you hope everybody can be a good person and contribute to society and treat everybody decent, right? No matter kind of what they believe in. Just, you can believe in whatever, just don't necessarily cram it down my throat. Let's just be reasonable with each other.
I don't know what it's like in America, but over here or in Australia, here we have all these people that bash people on benefits.
Yeah.
You know what? They're sick and disabled, and yes, some of the lazy. But you've got to think of it this way: if everybody had a job, if they got zero unemployment, you couldn't, because then the shop workers would have no one to serve during the day, and the shops are only open when people are in work.
Yeah, only open during lunch hours.
So it'd be pointless. You have to have a certain level of unemployment to keep your economy going.
Yeah. I think that's a valid point.
If you don't, you're going to screw yourself over.
Actually, Dominic, it's something I've thought about, because I'm sure you probably the same way. And there's a lot of people are with the Star Trek thing, right? And how humans did away with money, right?
Looks like the herd's waiting for you.
It's kind of one of those, how could we get there? I don't get, you know, a lot of what goes down is all about money, right? Money, survival, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't know how we get there. I mean, give Roddenberry credit. It's a very
It's an interesting ideology.
idealistic, and it would be wonderful outcome, right? I would love to see everybody
Yeah,
just like get
But
along.
that's removing idealism.
Everybody does the job that they love to do, right?
Yeah.
You don't get
He's
forced
starting to get some horns.
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't
great.
get forced into anything. Society just lets you be who you
I love
are
it.
and what you're good
Yeah.
at, and you do it,
Here.
and everybody's happy with everybody. I would love that utopian.
I think we'd all love that.
Yeah.
If we are going to believe in God, you have to understand, if there was a God, he would, and he wanted society to be as we want it to be, he would dictate, when you go to Earth, this is your job, this is your mission. Once you've completed it, come back. Yeah.
Hey, Ron, what about the one behind him there?
That's a doe. She's a little more intimidated by him. She ate from me a couple minutes ago. Here, mama.
Again, Dominic, back to the
There she
middle.
comes.
Right.
Now she's eating.
She's pretty.
Yeah.
You see, if we all believe in the circle of life, yeah, what's going to happen is Ron's going to come back as a deer, and that deer is going to come back as a human, and she's going to realize it, and she's going to shoot Ron and stick his head on the wall.
Probably right, David.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Or she'll turn around and do the same thing. Out of the kindness of her heart, she'll feed Ron corn.
Could be. Hmm.
Yeah. It would be nice to know if what you did in life would get you no reward at the end, I suppose.
Well, I think when you die, I think your whole life kind of flashes before your mind, and either you like what you did or you didn't. I don't know.
Well, put it this way: if all my life is going to flash before my eyes, I have to relive it again. Screw that! I'm not dying.
Mhm.
I'm not living that again.
Oh,
Not even in a flashback.
Scratch your nose once in a while.
I mean, the reality is, who really wants to walk around hating somebody else? Not me.
Why would you?
And some people, this is the problem with the news. They blast this crap, and put it in everybody's head, and then it's just like, people, please stop this crap.
Well,
He must have had enough. He got up and left.
I don't know. Ron, I've always said we need to put everybody through military training.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the leave your bias at the door crap would go such a long ways towards helping a lot of stupidity that goes on in our society.
that leave the bias at the door should be taught in school.
100%.
What shouldn't be taught in school is yes, you understand that some people are different, yeah, but you shouldn't be given that choice whether you want to be that someone else in school.
She'll let me scratch your nose.
Oh, will she?
Yeah, I'll scratch your nose. All right, Mama. All done. Finished it.
All I know is I've worked really hard with
She's-
my
she
daughter
looked-
to try
Ron,
to
that
make her
look then was
neutral.
like,
She's
You
looking
said-
at your beer, buddy.
that's what I was about to say. You say we're all done, but I've not had my drink yet. And I can see it there on the step.
Anyways,
Yeah, girly.
I've taught my daughter that sort of leave the bias. And
Have you ever held the glass of beer out there and see if she would lick it?
No, I tried not to introduce him to alcohol.
Hey Ron, would I be a bad guy if I told you one year New Year's Eve with my best friend and
Again now?
one year on New Year's Eve, he was a military buddy of mine. We were over at his house. Well, I won't say it was me that gave the dog the beer because it wasn't me, it was him. But oh my God, a big black lab and passed out.
Dude.
Wasn't my fault. I didn't stop him. I probably should stop him. He said, no, don't. Yeah, I don't know. My buddy got drunk and he gave the dog. The
Hey,
alcohol.
David, what is it, midnight there tonight?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are we going to bed anytime soon? Hell no. Only because I can't get into bed.
Well, yeah, One Vision says, Dustin says, Ron, if you give them alcohol, you'll have a party on the porch every day.
Or Ron will come back from work after a really hard shift and think, I could just do with a nice pint. Who the fucking hell's drunk all my beers?
The deer break into his house and into his refrigerator to steal the beer, right?
Or
Yeah,
come home and the stereo be blaring in there having a good old time.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
And the deer head's on the floor because they've used the anklers to open the bottles. Cheers, mate.
Hey, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the solution to all of our problems, right? We'll hand beer out to everybody. Everybody will just get along great after that.
I think the solution to everybody's problem is ban religion, ban politics, and make everybody support Preston North End.
Oh, look at, she's looking for more.
Oh, I know she is.
She's going, come
I
here.
agree with
come
I
here."
agree with that, David, but we've got different sports in different countries. So you have to barrack for a certain team in each country.
Yeah,
Come here,
and,
mama.
and that's another way to go, some way of resolving problems. Let's call it what it is, right? It's not American football and it's not Australian rules football. Because if you pick it up with your freaking hand, it's not football, is it?
Rugby.
I don't know. I will say I've been to Australia twice, and I'll have to say I love Australian rules football.
I'll get her
what
some
part,
more.
Rod, what part of Australia did you come to?
Went to Sydney the first time and went to Melbourne the second time.
Oh, Melbourne's my home.
Gotcha. So it's
Plus-
more like
and-
it's more like New York City.
Well, if you ever go back, you just tell them that you're a friend of Dominic's and they'll treat you like
Yeah.
Got it.
Just mention my
Okay.
name down there.
Man.
Yeah, they'll treat you like royalty. Now, this is how you get back to the airport and piss off.
Yeah.
You know, but Australian rules football is one of the reasons NFL football players kind of drive me crazy. They talk about being big and bad and tough, and I'm like, you know, try going and
I've
playing
been- I've been
Australian
trying
rules
to-
football, buddy,
as-
and
And
then see how tough
you've
you are.
watched some AFL. So I've been trying to convert everybody that I know overseas to this game. So
I'm telling you, if you want to talk about real men, yeah, they're playing
Well,
it.
I'll stick
My
to
God.
how long ago were you over here, Rod?
Oh, early 2000.
Okay. Life has
So-
changed a little bit since then, but
But you know, I tell everybody it's American football without pads and no huddle.
exactly, yeah.
Constant movement. It's going.
Have you seen rugby? When you-
Yeah, I'd rather see Australian rules football.
Yeah, but proper
That's
rugby.
what most people say.
Yeah, proper rugby when you get the scrum and all the players from each team just crush against each other.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
You gotta be real men to do that.
yeah,
I would
they're
agree.
all there crushed against each other, pushing, and then you get some idiot that goes, "I'll put the ball in," and they always give it that most girliest of pushes in.
Yeah, exactly. I do watch. Yeah, I watch rugby league, rugby union, AFL, and what we call soccer, you call football. So we've got 4 main codes down here, and they're all on it. Some of them are on at the same time, and it becomes annoying when you're trying to watch 2 games at the same time.
Yeah, when you jump up and celebrate, and it's the opposing team, you go, no, this one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thankfully, when I do that, I'm at home and nobody else is there. But I've got a TV, I've got the phone, I've got the iPad, I've got the laptop, trying to watch 4 different games.
Chuck never made it back. Where's Chuck? I really
Yeah,
need
where's
to ask
Chuck?
I need to ask him that question. Okay, so who's on here? Who's buying the Mavic 3 Pro tomorrow?
If I had the money, I would, because it's a big step up. But from my understanding, is if you've already got a Mavic 3, I don't see why you would want to just slightly go up a bit. But if you've got a Mini 2 like myself, I think going from a smaller drone to a bigger one would be a huge difference and a huge output.
I'm
That's how I see it.
probably in the minority
Excuse me.
why
Bless
I
you.
got interest in that drone. One, I don't have a Mini 3 or a Mavic 3. I got the Air 2 and the Avata.
Yeah,
But-
that's how I see it. If you're going from one platform to the next platform, I can see people doing that.
But
if
I
you're
have my
going-
Autel Evo 2 Pros, which are
Yeah,
that thing is a really damn good drone. It really
I know.
is.
I've actually flown with someone that has one. So
But the one feature that's on that Mavic 3 Pro on the 4/3 sensor,
yeah,
that changed with this upgrade.
Yeah.
They put the new Sony sensor on it. Is the 5.1K at 120 frames a second, so you can
Yeah.
do slow-mo. That was one of the
Yeah.
features that I loved on the Air 2, was the
Yeah.
fact that you could shoot in 120 and I think in 2.7K, and you could
Yeah.
shoot in 240 on like 1080. So the fact
240
that
is a really good slow-mo.
yeah, so the fact that you can shoot 120 5.1K really interests me. I'm kind of curious if you drop down to 4K or maybe say 2.7K, will it go to 240 in like
Yeah.
one of those lower resolutions?
Yeah, she won't come up on the porch.
No,
So-
The $2 will, but she won't.
So
It's not-
one of the things I learned, Dominic, obviously I'm next to the ocean here in Daytona, is shooting the waves breaking in slow motion.
Yeah,
Because the slow motion slows the wave down, it gives you this massive optical illusion that the wave is bigger than it actually is.
yeah,
Because of
I've seen
the
that,
wave
yeah.
being so slow. It's just like that little 3-foot wave looks like an 8-foot wave, even though it's not. It's only a little baby 3-foot wave. But because you've slowed it down, it gives that
Yeah.
illusion of being bigger.
Because we've got so many great beaches down here, a lot of people like to video waves in the water,
Mhm.
and it does look a little bit strange when you actually use it. I've seen a lot of people actually do a lot of our beaches.
But slow motion with the waves, just so bloody interesting video.
Especially and waterfalls as well.
Yeah. So that's why the 5.1K with the 120 is like,
Mm.
I haven't had that since the Air 2.
Mm.
So
And my neighbor must have some money.
Oh,
Uh,
He bought a
Just
It
in
looks
case
to be another-
Laura's not watching. Night, Laura.
$25,000 4-wheeler. He's the
Oh,
same
okay.
guy that had
is
the one
is that
back
the
in
same
the
guy that lost his friends?
Yep, it had no insurance on it. Yep. Probably got insurance on this one.
Maybe you should walk down and talk him into buying an Inspire 3, and you can borrow it
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yeah.
If he's got that kind of buddy.
Yeah, I'll fly it for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That is, now that would be great.
Find the rich friend to buy it.
I was actually going to say that to Ron last night when he, not Ron, Bill, when he was looking at monitors. I was like,
Yeah,
just get it delivered to me. I'll test it for you. I'll let you know how good it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just cranking one of those out certainly would get people's attention.
He's liking the dual screen, but being in the IT world,
Yeah.
I've seen gazillions of people with 2 screens and 3 screens.
Oh,
set up.
definitely.
And
I was in IT
I
as
get
well.
it, and I get it, and I like them. I get it, and I like them. But I tell you what, I have a Samsung CRG9, which is a 49-inch super
Yep.
ultra wide.
Yeah,
That is,
No.
it's basically 2 27-inch screens side by side, but you can divide
Yeah.
the screen sort of in
Yeah.
3. It's basically 3 screens.
Is it an LG?
No, it's Samsung.
Oh, well, have you got Windows 11?
Yeah, it works fine on this.
Yep. They've got the new multi-screen.
Yeah, it's in there. The new Snap is all in there.
No, not the Snap.
Getting
You
braver.
You can actually set to where you want your main page, so you could have screens within screens.
Oh yeah. I haven't messed with that stuff, but yeah, that's the multi-screen Snap technology. You can change the snapping stuff around.
Yeah, I've got 2 LG 29-inch monitors, but I only use one for gaming. The other one is only when I'm doing football stuff. So I've got, multiple. I can have multiple websites up because when I do
you
the
got your
football
scores
stuff,
and yeah,
I need at least 4 or 5 screens. And at one time, I did have 6 monitor screens on my computer.
yeah. I've seen people with.
Why not
5
use
or
the
6
multiple
monitors.
tabs? Why do you need so many screens when you have multiple tabs? both
Because you
in-
got-
That's why I reckon they should have
Right.
one TV that you can have multiple things on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is the problem I have. I have to have the forum open,
Yeah,
Twitter open, because
Yeah.
then I have Flash Score, because Flash Score will tell me
yeah,
that a team has scored. Twitter's where I'll get the information from, who
Yeah.
scored it,
Yeah.
and the forum is where I post it. So I need
Yeah.
the free. But
yeah.
the
I
extra space,
I
I
know
can have,
that problem as well.
yeah,
Because
and the
Flash
extra
Score
space-
actually does. Flash Score does AFL, but the AFL app also has the scores on it as well. So I've got to have the cable TV open because that's when the game is on, and then you've got to have that. You've got to have Twitter open. I've got to have my forum open because that's a forum for my club, and then you've got other screens to keep track of what's going on. So
I have a
be
solution.
great if
for
I
you.
could
I have
put
an
it on one
interesting
screen.
solution for you. So, a long time ago, I have a home theater system in the house. So,
Mhm.
what you really need is just get yourself a projector. And in my case, I have about 150-inch projection screen. So, just use a projector with 150 inches. There's a lot of space on there to put screens all over the screen.
it won't work, because as you'll find with Google Chrome, once you've got multiple screens open and you try to make them fit, it'll blur your image. You start getting a lot of ghosting and stuff. It's one of the bugbears of Google Chrome.
I wouldn't know because I don't use it.
Google Chrome used to be really good. And now they keep messing around with it. Every bloody week there's a new update and they've changed something.
I use Chrome, just not Google Chrome.
Hmm.
You realize Microsoft Edge is Chrome, right? Because it uses Chromium.
Yeah. But I won't use anything Microsoft if I can avoid it, apart from Windows.
I don't use anything Microsoft.
What
Oh.
operating system do you use?
I use an Apple.
So Dominic, here's a question
I got
for
Mac
you.
OS.
Yeah, so
Yep.
here's a question for you. How many kinds of apples are there?
In terms of,
Yeah, how many kinds of apples are there?
There's Granny Smiths.
Yeah.
There's can get.
Okay, well, let's talk about Apple computer. How many kinds of apples are there?
God, you got you've got the MacBook.
4.
You have the MacBook, you have the Mac Mini, you have the
Okay,
iMac.
let me
Screen.
stop you before you
iMac,
before I let you like fall off the cliff.
yeah.
There's only one, a bad apple.
Ah, okay. I wasn't heading in that direction. Yeah.
We'll point something out to you. It only became a bad apple because that bite is what Adam took a bit of.
Yeah, one bite.
It's true. That's what got us into this mess, right?
Yeah, one bite.
Yeah, one bite of the apple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should ban Apple, damn it. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the cure to the world's problems.
Oh, certainly.
And, you know, working in the IT world, you know, you look at the promise of the internet, right, in the beginning, and,
Oh,
and
definitely.
all the positive use cases and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you look around at what's going on in the world now with the social media, and that's not this. I'm not about to say that all social media is
See you, Mama.
necessarily bad, but social media and the anonymity of the internet has turned
Yeah.
a massive amount of people into idiots.
Oh, definitely.
It's causing,
bad
it's probably
side.
causing, it's the bad side to the whole social thing, and it feels really
Yeah.
bad. It's kind of one of
Yeah.
those, have we created our own worst problem?
Mhm.
Everything social media was made for, it's now, and the problem is society is so far behind on everything. Same with the drones.
Mm.
Biggest people banging on for more drone regulations are the idiots that don't know anything about the drone regulations that we currently have and how to use a drone.
Exactly. And they're the policy makers.
And if they learnt, they would understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the policy makers. The policy makers here are people that don't actually fly them. And that's the problem.
Yeah,
You need
and-
people that actually fly them to make the policy. So I don't know, because we have the Civil Aviation Safety Authority, otherwise known as CASA. The people there don't understand the policy and the regulation. They're aviation people that have made a specific department to oversee the policy, and they're overseeing policy stating that the way that the drone should be flown are similar to the way that aircraft and other aviation other planes fly the same way, and
So-
they're completely different.
Yeah, so here's an interesting question. I'm talking about sort of rules, laws, regulations, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Who's that for? It's only
Exactly.
for it's only for the good people, right? The
Yeah,
bad people,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
laws are never, ever. You can't you can't regulate idiots.
exactly.
You
That's
can't
what I said
regulate
earlier.
idiots.
You can't legislate against stupidity.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
same thing, Rod, is true with gun laws.
Oh,
Yeah.
how many more gun laws do we need? We already have how many gun laws? It's worse the crap that's on the books. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to get involved in your gun laws because I'm
Yeah,
anti.
David's are different to mine, are different to yours. So we've got three different countries.
I'm anti-gun because I live in a society where the gun is not an everyday thing.
Same
Yeah.
here.
So
Yeah, but David, I have a question for you. Go look it up. How many people in England are killed with butcher knives and knives?
Ooh,
Yes,
there's an interesting
but-
Another
question.
valid point.
So
But-
maybe we ought to take away all the knives in England.
I've always stated that.
Right. But to point something out to you, knife crime is on the decrease here. You're not hearing it every day, but nearly every day now, I'm hearing that some idiot has gone to a 16-year-old's birthday party and shot the place up, or gone into a school. You know what? If you want to have guns, fine. I agree. Your laws are your laws, and it says you have a right to bear arms.
Yep.
Yeah. What it doesn't say is you have a right to take that arm and bear it in a freaking school and shoot everybody up.
Yeah,
There
but
are-
David, don't you think though, David, that throughout the millennium, people have been killing each other with different ways, whether it was the cavemen with clubs or the bow and arrows or
The weapon
whatever.
isn't the problem. It's humanity.
the
That's the
person.
problem.
Exactly. But I'll point something out to you. We've stopped people being killed with clubs because we've banned them.
We just
you
came
got a
out with
valid
worse.
point,
We just
yeah.
came out with better weapons. That's
They
why they're
don't,
not
they
using
don't,
clubs
they don't play
anymore.
golf over there.
Well, we do, but I'd hate to be in a game of golf where it got to the point where somebody wants to swing it and kill their opponent.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's a humanity issue, right? Right,
Yeah,
Ron?
it's a humanity. The weapon is not the problem. It's humanity.
It is.
Yeah,
You know, we could solve the
and
world's
you've got a
traffic
valid
problem.
point there,
because
Dustin.
how many bad guys have used big trucks, especially in Europe, to run crowds over? Maybe we should just ban all. We should ban all vehicles, right?
I
'Cause
think the
it could be
problem-
used
Ban
as a
everything.
weapon. We'll
How-
just
how
ban
about we
everything.
just
We'll just
ban
ban
everything?
everything.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you ban everything, you're gonna have to ban fists as well.
Yeah.
But-
Oh yeah, I suppose we'll have to cut everybody's hands off when they're bored.
what
I wanna
Right?
point-
They can't-
Right, can I
So
just
where
ask
do you
a
stop
question?
banning things?
Right, I'm going to ask a serious question here because it is now on our TV screens nearly every day. There's been another shooting in America. We can't get our own fucking news, but we get all your news, you know.
Same
But-
here.
What I want to ask, since all this bloody
Edward, you're correct.
since all this anti-gun law stuff has come out where you've got too many do-gooders shouting for this and shouting for that, has a gun crime actually increased from that? Because I reckon it has. I reckon the problem is by the do-gooders saying we want to stop the likes of Rod and Paul having a gun, right? It's likely that you're going
Valid
to turn
point,
around
Dave.
and say, I want to use my freaking gun. And you know what? I'm going to go and shoot some freaking do-gooders and deal with it.
You know, my neighbor is retired Air Force. So is his wife. His wife was a 2-star. He was a full bird colonel, so she could pull rank on him. He and I had this conversation one day, standing out in the yard about this stuff. You know, the problem with this stuff isn't necessarily the gun, the club, the knife, or whatever. The problem is the people, and the bigger problem is there aren't enough good people who want to use those things to keep the idiots under control.
Exactly.
You're
There are more
right.
idiots.
They're all mostly
We're
idiots.
breeding
It's
too
the
many
idiots.
idiots.
It's
Well-
the idiots that have it. If we had more good people carrying the weapons, the idiots. I mean, think about bullies, right? How do we tell people to it's about standing up to the bullies, right? The bullies are only bullies because they know they can get away with it.
Yep.
They're not going to bully the guy standing there with a gun because the guy might shoot his.
Valid point, Jody.
But
So he's not going to be a bully. So
But what-
part of the problem is not having enough good people
Yeah, yeah.
with the gun.
As I
Well,
said,
but
as I
right
said, we're
now,
breeding
the
idiots.
root problem we have here in this country is we don't
Society.
have a responsible judiciary. They
Yeah,
go
there's
out
your
on the
problem.
streets and kill somebody, or beat somebody up and steal something, and they get a release on their own recognizance.
There's your problem.
But
Yeah.
also, you guys don't have enough people in government to have a proper, serious debate. And that means the debate
We
ends
don't
up.
have enough. We have too fucking.
We don't
many.
have any.
No, enough.
No, you're wrong on that.
No. You've got too many politicians but you don't have
Exactly.
enough people to have a sensible debate. They're
Yeah,
either
sensible
for
discussion.
one side or for the other side. And that what then happens is that debate ends on the streets and it alienates people. And we did this with the Asians and the Muslims, you know, we alienated everyone, and that in itself radicalized more people, because instead of just bashing those that had the ideology,
Yeah.
you bashed everybody, and then you push people into it. Yeah,
Mm.
and that's what's
Yeah.
happening. I reckon that's what's happening in America. A lot of your teenagers are going out shooting things. They're doing it because they're seeing it in the news, because it's being talked about, and they're going, I want to make a name for myself. I've
Yeah.
got nothing. I can see my life. It's going nowhere. You know, so I'm going to go out and do something stupid.
Well, the thing of it is that the basic societal issue that I perceive is, where are the friggin' parents?
I think that's that's equally a valid point.
No, it's not a valid point, because I'll tell you why. The do-gooders have said, you can't tell your kid off anymore. You know what?
So, yeah.
You can't slap a kid anymore. You know what? There's reasonable thoughts. You know, you got to learn right and wrong. You can't do what my dad did to me and punch me in the head and kick me in the head, stamp on my head. You can't do that. But you know, a slap on the leg ain't a bad thing, you know, and I'm against.
Yeah,
The
taking
more, and that's kind of the key, David, and I've said it a long time. The more government and society has injected itself into the family and sort of destroyed the family and destroyed values and discipline, the worse our problems have gotten. And it just amazes me that the world hasn't woken up to
Yeah.
this.
When I was a kid, you know, when your parents went, it's tea time or dinner time, as you guys will call it.
Yep.
We all sat round the table as a family.
Mm.
We may not have liked each other. You know, there may have been slight digs across the table, but we all sat as a family. Today, the dining room table is gone. It's very rarely used. Everybody sits in front of the TV, or the kids will take the food upstairs to the room because they're on the computer or something. Yeah. Because we don't know how to do things in moderation.
Yeah. Well-
You know, sitting here listening to this, and obviously there's lots of arguments and sort of viewpoints around here, but if you listen to the core of it, it's a bunch of good people with the intent of, how can everybody else be good people, right? We all kind of just want to kind of get along, and are frustrated by the fact that humans don't seem to be able to get along with each other as well as they should.
You're right in a sense, but what you're also finding is that a lot of people that are out there that are going, don't do this, don't do that, whilst actually doing it. You know, like we had in lockdown with the British government.
Hypocrites.
You must stay home. Yeah, you must all stay home. You must protect everybody. Meanwhile, they're all having a piss up in the, you know, in Downing Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that
yeah,
one guy?
yeah, the
What
same
was that
thing
one
here.
guy that took the vacation? The one minister or something over there.
Oh, God, it was now.
Yeah, same here.
Who got caught up in the news for
Yeah,
doing
yeah, I know the one you
that.
mean.
To be
For
honest,
doing that very thing.
there's been so much. Oh, I know you're on about Dominic.
Rob Casey.
You're about the guy that that went. He didn't take a vacation. It's Dominic Cummings. He drove from London.
That was his name, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He drove
That
from
guy.
London to Durham, which when he had COVID. Now, in a sense, that's bad, you know, because he would have had to stop and use services. However, the fact that when he got up there, he decided to get in his car and drive to tourist places. That was the problem. That's what pissed people off. And then it was the lame excuse where he says, I actually went to this place to test my eyesight to make sure I was safe to drive back to London with his wife and his kid in the car. You don't go and test your eyesight. Well, one, you don't test your eyesight driving a freaking car. Hell no. And you don't put your kid and your daughter, wife at risk.
Unfortunately, guys, I've got to head out. So I've got
Okay,
heaps to
Dominic.
do.
Well, I think we probably beat it to death.
Yeah.
No, no,
I'll
no.
let you guys continue.
Right.
So
Just so you're aware, we haven't beaten it to death because beating it to death has been banned.
Okay.
exactly.
Hey, everybody, Ron isn't here, but we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, then.
We'll see all of
Thanks,
you
Colin.
again next time.
See you, Ron.
Bye,
Bye,
Robert. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Later.